And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th round of the 9th season of the Bandit Racing League. We are, as always, broadcasted by Full Send Racing Network. That is myself, and usually Evan Wall. Unfortunately, no Evan Wall tonight. He is busy with some other obligations, so it'll be a solo booth tonight. But as always, I am your commentator and host, Marshall Crocker Jr. And tonight we are here for the Breast Cancer Awareness 100, sponsored by Eastwood Detailing. Eastwood Detailing is sponsor and partner of the series for quite a long time, so it's a pleasure to have them back and pleasure to represent them once again in tonight's race at Las Vegas. But it is Breast Cancer Awareness Night, so you'll see all sorts of pink, as is the official color of the month of October for that particular not really a movement, but you know what I'm trying to say there. So going to see lots of pink tonight. Lots of drivers running some special tribute liveries. We got all the logos up in pink, so it'll look a little bit different. But yeah, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we just want to take a little bit of time to talk about that. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with, well, of course, cancer and things like that in general. It can be absolutely devastating for a lot of families. Such arguably one of the most unfortunate things in general in the world today. But breast cancer specifically for the month of October, it's something that is just so widespread. So to give awareness to it and the fact that it is always important, and of course in a very trying time like that of COVID, there's so much going wrong in the world in general. But just to raise awareness for a couple things. That way, if you're looking for a way to give back to something, I know we've done a lot of tributes to various causes over the course of the season, which I'm actually pretty happy about. I think it's really good to raise some awareness for some important stuff, in addition to some awesome brands that are happy to support the series. But 1 in 8 Canadian women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, which is a mind-boggling number. 12.5%. That's kind of absurd. It's really unfortunate, and the fact that it's still something as prevalent as it is well, it's really sad. But I'm somebody who's eternally optimistic. I hope that one day, with enough research, enough money invested in the places it needs to go to, that eventually it's something that we can, if not fully figure out, then at least do some good in regards to solving. So here's a little bit more information. I can only scratch the surface of what you need to know and what I can tell you about breast cancer awareness, but it is for the entire month of October. So hopefully you'll hear more about it from a variety of sources. But tonight we did just want to give some love to it and give notice about the very important cause. If you want to know more details, as always, we got the link in the chat down there. So if you want to pop down in there, you want to get some more information, we got the link to the official website, and you can get some more details there. But thank you to Eastwood Detailing for taking the lead on allowing us to give some shout outs to that. Eastwood Detailing is a brand that's been partners with us for a long time. Tonight's driver profile driver, actually, which we'll get to in just a moment, Mr. Peter Murphy, driver of the 38 truck, is closely involved with them. He's kind of our spokesperson for that side of things for tonight's sponsors. So you'll hear a little bit more about Eastwood Detailing and how Peter Murphy got involved with them in just a moment. But so Breast Cancer Awareness 100 tonight. It's something we'll talk about all the way through. But thank you to all the drivers who ran pink liveries tonight. Evan Wall, again, couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, but as he always does with his graphics, did some great work to put up the timing tower is going to be in pink tonight. So it's going to look good. You'll see in a minute. But well, again, if you've been here the last couple weeks, you'll know that here in the pre-race, before we can really get too in-depth with tonight's race and figure out what's going on last week and what's going on going forward, we're going to go to our driver profile. We're doing it right off the bat, right at the start. So we will head off to that right now. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, this week it was with Peter Murphy, driver of the number 38 truck. He's somebody who was on the front row in qualifying a couple weeks back, and he set some great runs. So he's also the playoff cutoff driver, but you'll hear plenty about that in this week's driver profile. And on yet another episode of our weekly driver profile here on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League, this week we're with the driver of the number 38 truck, Peter Murphy. And well, first of all, Peter, thank you for taking the time. You're somebody I've been excited to talk to, because not only are you the playoff cutoff driver, but you've had some great qualifying performances the last couple weeks. But first of all, you're tonight's race sponsor here at Las Vegas on behalf of Eastwood Detailing. So talk a little bit about that brand and how you got involved with them.
Yeah, so Eastwood Detailing is my cousin Chris Eastwood's detailing company. Just a small one-man show. Does it as kind of a side job. Been doing it for about 3 to 4 years now. Does a lot for the community, especially the race community, our local home track, Lebanon Valley in New York. Sponsors, I think, 4 cars there. Help sponsor some of the races. I know he's been donating a set of tires to the race winner for certain divisions down there for the past year.
And you talked there a little bit about your home track and your experience growing up around cars. So, talk a little bit about as a kid growing up, how you kind of got into racing, how you got involved with it, and how you came to love the sport, and what place racing has in your heart today.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I'd always go over to my aunt and uncle's house before school every day, and my uncle raced at the local dirt track, and I just remember, showing up Monday morning, seeing his car, sometimes mangled and whatnot, or, seeing him Monday mornings winning races, and then seeing the car gone all week, and then seeing it come back in pristine condition on Friday, getting ready to go racing on Saturday. So that's what kind of got me into racing. No formal racing, but growing up with him and racing, it's what kind of got me into it, and just kind of started to love the sport.
And now I know you came into iRacing itself with that love of racing only very recently. I think you said at the end of last year. So, since then you've been here 2 full seasons. You debuted when I did at the start of season 8. So, since then when you joined the Bandit Racing League, how did you feel then versus how you feel now as a driver with your whole skill set here on the sim racing side? And just how have you seen the Bandit Racing League change in your time in the series?
So yeah, like you mentioned, I've been on here less than a year. Coming into the league last year, running Xfinity cars, never really had much experience with those, never really ran them. So it's definitely a learning curve for me, especially new car coming into a new league, running around guys I've never around before. So last season was just kind of getting to know everybody's driving style, kind of being just a mid-pack runner, seeing how everybody runs, learning everything with that. And then coming into this season with the trucks, that's what I primarily ran when I joined the service. I always been big into the truck series. Just coming in, felt quite a bit more comfortable. I seem to have a little bit more pace in the trucks than I did the Xfinity cars.
Yeah, you definitely seem to have. Like I talked about earlier, your pace in qualifying has been super impressive, and it's I'm sure helped you out in those particular races in terms of at least at the beginning avoiding some of the chaos. But in terms of the season overall, you are a playoff cutoff driver right now. You're the guy just above the cutoff, just ahead of Bill and Christopher, who are sitting there trying to bump you off. So in terms of the last couple races of the season, where this week we're at Las Vegas, obviously, your sponsored race, and then we go to Phoenix next week, and then Auto Club rounds off the regular season. So, are those tracks you're feeling good about? You think those fall into your strengths? And if you're able to make the playoffs, well, what sort of statement do you think you'll be able to make there?
Yeah, these last 3 races coming up, I feel pretty confident. I feel really good on mile and a half and mile tracks. I have the pace. Biggest thing is, I show that in qualifying. I just got to be more patient in the race and kind of let the race come to me, not get too aggressive or, too anxious on starts and whatnot. And with Vegas this week, I live here in Vegas, just moved down here from Alaska in March or May. So feeling good, you know, hopefully, and then hopefully making the playoffs going into there, I could be one of those dark horse drivers that nobody really sees coming.
Yeah, I think we might see a couple of those this season. There are definitely some guys that I think have shown more potential than perhaps their results would indicate. So, I wish you the absolute best of luck tonight. I know that a lot of drivers in the past have had success at their home tracks. I think Benjamin Lacey won his home race last season. So we'll see if you can become another one. Maybe make the playoffs on wins there rather than points. And once you do, I wish you the best of luck surprising some people. And overall, just thank you for taking the time with us.
Yeah, thank you. And we're running a special paint scheme for this race and all of October, for breast cancer, part of the race today. So make sure you look out for that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
And there you go, and yet another weekly driver profile segment down, and it was great to talk to Peter Murphy there for a little bit. He's somebody that, has been in the series just as long as I have. I've talked about him plenty over the course of the last 2 seasons, both in some great runs last year. He qualified on the front row this year, and he's currently the cutoff driver, so I thought it just made a world of sense to talk to him, and it was a pleasure to. So thank you, Peter, for taking the time, as always, to any driver who ever does the driver profiles, who, put time aside to take some time out of their very busy weeks and talk for a couple minutes with me. So thank you, Peter. And again, we're kind of in a fast-paced situation here on the broadcast these days. So we get done with the driver profile, and now it is time for another segment. And this time, it's not time to focus on tonight's race yet. We're going to do one more thing, and we're going to look back on last week's race at Texas, a very similar racetrack, but we'll talk more about the track itself in a little bit. But last week, we were at Texas Motor Speedway on this week's race recap. And in the Adventures with Purpose 100 at Texas Motor Speedway, oh boy, we sure had another barn burner of a race. We've really been heating up with them this season. It was Nick Nickerson on the pole, Eddie Hagge on the outside of the front row. We might actually get a chance to talk to him as maybe a pit reporter tonight, but Nick got off to a great start. But before long, 10 laps in, Trey Ellis would take the lead from him. The driver of the number 4 truck won the first race of the season, and he was off to a hot start there early, took the lead from him before Nick took it back just a couple laps later. Nick was kind of the dominant truck towards the beginning of the race, but Ashley Molyneux making a return to the series. Unfortunately, she won't be here tonight because of a complication, I believe, again with work, but she should be back in a couple weeks' time, if not next week. Well, she was getting quick there by the middle portion of that first stint, and by the end of it, she was past Nick Nickerson. Tony Hilbrand's giving her a push there and putting her up to the lead for a while, but Cody Welch, the first of a couple unfortunate troubles tonight, getting spun off actually both ends of 2 trucks he was trying to split the middle between. There goes Ashley Molyneux, still leading the race 60 laps in. She was dominant there through the middle portion. But here she is, her night just getting worse after a bit of a pit struggle that put her quite a ways back in the field. Gets turned by David Lakey, and just like that, finds herself in the inside wall. And that put her effectively out of the battle for the win, though she did recover somewhat throughout the course of the event. And there you go. You see Tony Hilbrand, who was in the conversation there for the lead after that, but gets tapped by Curtis Yancey, puts him in the outside wall, and immediate karma because Jonathan Platt would then get tangled with the 51 truck, putting both around, and more explicitly of the two, the 51 of Curtis Yancey. But Cody Welch, what a recovery, came all the way back to the lead with 2 laps to go, got a great start. It was Platt and Guzik, as well as Nickerson trying to chase him down, but it would be Ricky Hart, the guy in the position to make the move on the last lap. Jonathan Platt, you see, would get turned by Michael Ramos for what feels like the 5th time Jonathan Platt's been turned on the last lap this season, but 2 corners to go. Final time, Cody Welch leading. It looked like this was going to be the race, that last year's runner-up for the championship would get his win, but he was turned off of a little bit of a divot there in that turn 4 apex curb. He took a bit of a bobble. Ricky Hart got into him. He was very apologetic for it, but Cody Welch would not finish, despite being a dominant truck late in the race and having a great comeback. Though Kevin Foster, gotta shout it out. Absolutely great move for him to push Cody Welch across the line. Great showing of sportsmanship. And Ricky Hart, it was well deserved. You know, he didn't do it the way he wanted to, but he picks up his 2nd win of the season. The 64 truck goes back to victory lane, and yet another great finish in the Bandit Racing League. We've just been so lucky off those this year, and it's been so awesome to watch. I've been loving this season since that Nashville race where everything kind of changed. Since then, we have just been on fire. And here's your playoff outlook following our race at Texas. So still only 8 drivers have won a race this season, but again, 8 drivers in 12 races. That is plenty of parity if you ask me. So it's been awesome to watch that. Kevin Foster, the first driver in points without a win. Cody Welch in 2nd. But currently, Peter Murphy, who we talked to just a moment ago, is the cutoff driver. And Bill Harkins, Christopher Farrar, and Michael Ramos, who's had a pretty great last couple weeks for himself, are the cutoff drivers trying to find their way in. So there is the current situation heading into tonight's race at Las Vegas. And once again, the Breast Cancer Awareness 100 presented by Eastwood Detailing. Now we can pretty much get to your regularly scheduled events here on the broadcast side of things. So let's get you your live update in regards to the current qualifying order. I believe last time I checked, it was Nick Nickerson is indeed your qualifying leader at the moment. And boy, that is a sight we're pretty familiar with seeing at this point, though perhaps a site we're not quite as familiar with. Steve Ulrich goes to 2nd on the qualifying tally, though still 0.06 of a second down on Nick, which for the gap between 1 and 2 is quite a large discrepancy. So Nick putting in an absolute burner of a time there in that first lap. The 79 of Anthony Caetano just finished up. He is going to go 7th provisionally. We're seeing Nolan Gross was on track, now is not, so everybody's finishing up their lap times. There was Kel Zook, who just came off track, who just went 16th. Here's Ricky Hart. We're going to go live with the driver of the number 64 truck there. And again, last week's winner running at a very similar track this week. We'll talk about the track preview in a little bit, but it is largely similar to what we saw last week at Texas. So, you know, if his skills carried over well there to Texas, you know, knowing he's often very good at the intermediates, tracks that are kind of that middle distance, I think it'll work pretty well again for him tonight. So keep an eye on Ricky Hart to potentially go 2 for 2 in terms of 2 weeks of great races here at the intermediates. But Mark Allen Bivens running that new 76 truck. Very simple, but I really like the reference there. I think it was perfect with his car number. So there you go. Mark Allen Bivens goes to the front row. What a lap there by the number 76 truck. Those still over half a tenth the gap for anybody back from Nick Nickerson. He was just great there in that first qualifying attempt. Tony Hilbrand's currently sitting in 11th. He just put in a lap, now bumps down to 12th. Trey Ellis last week, who early on in the race was a force to be reckoned with, he's now up there in 13th in the 4 truck. There's the 10 truck of Matt Crockett. You're starting to see those breast cancer awareness pink liveries tonight, so we will probably see many of those throughout the race. Looking back a little ways, we see Victor Weaver just ran a lap time. He'll go 23rd. Brandon Jackson is going to go, let's see where he puts in a time. This time he was 29th prior to this lap. Goes to 13th, so big jump for him. There is Peter Murphy, the guy who's been great in qualifying all season. Remember, a couple weeks back, he was the guy in Mark Allen Bivens' spot in the outside of the front row, all the way back at Michigan. But now it's Kevin Foster, Nick Nickerson's GFR Racing teammate, who takes over the second spot overall. Peter Murphy just coming across the line to finish up his lap. We'll see where he goes on the leaderboard. Coming to the line, coming to the line. Where will he go? He will not improve to the top 10, so he is going to sit, I think, 5th provisionally, so he is not going to move up any further in the top 10, I should say. Kevin Foster is still on track, but he's just finished up his lap, so it'll be a GFR Racing 1-2 unless somebody is able to move their way in. Cody Welch just finished up, I believe, his first or second lap time. I'm going to say second because he is pulling off and slowing, going to the apron. So Cody Welch will start tonight's race right in the middle of the pack, starting in 16th. We do have a return, actually. The 26 of Garrett Hall makes his return to the series. He's got a very bright number because I didn't get a chance to work all the colors out yet. But the 26 of Garrett Hall, good to see him back. He was a frequent last season. He's been a frequent in the series for a long time. And tonight he makes his return. We've seen some very successful returns in the series in the past. Very quickly, though, before we go to your qualifying results here tonight, let's put up your championship leaderboard heading into tonight's race at Las Vegas. Now, remember, this is the overall leaderboard for points. This does not really care about the playoffs whatsoever, so disregard this in regards to the playoff order in terms of who is locked in. But overall points, Nick Nickerson currently leads at 410, the only driver over that 400 marker. So currently your top 2 in the points, your top 2 in qualifying, and they will both start on the front row. So it's Nickerson, Foster, Guzik, Welch, Hart, your top 5. Only, 3 of those drivers have scored a win yet this season. Kevin Foster and Cody Welch have not. Then it's Curtis Yancey, Aaron Smith, who's still in 7th despite missing a couple races these last few weeks. He sits in 7th. Then it's Davey Hendricks in 8th. Matt Crockett in the 9th position. And Jason Greenwell, I believe last week, just broke into the top 10. So Mark Allen Bivens sitting there on the cutoff, though, sitting there in 11th, could break into the top 10 in points tonight on the back of an already great season there, sitting on the inside of row number 2. But with that, we are now ready to go through your starting lineup here in tonight's Breast Cancer Awareness 100, sponsored by Eastwood Detailing. And let's go. Let's get you your results here in qualifying. And on the pole tonight, he's done it many a time. I've become very experienced with this moment in the last couple seasons. It's Nick Nickerson on the front row and on the pole, alongside his teammate Kevin Foster sitting there in 2nd. Then on the inside of the 3rd row, we got Mark Allen Bivens to the outside, Steve Ulrich. That'll be a fun row to watch. We got Peter Murphy starting in 5th position. And after that, it's Joshua McQuiggan in the 400 making his debut tonight. Kind of a new name, the first triple-digit number we've seen in this series, I think, ever. And it's Jason Greenwell, Christopher Herrera are in 7th and 8th. Then it's Brett Guzik sitting in 9th there. Then it's Ricky Hart, last week's winner, running off the top 10. We got Tony Hilbrands after that. Then it's Anthony Caetano. Let's try to go to his truck. We got Jason Romy after that. Brandon Jackson sitting in the 15th position. We'll see what he can do tonight. Already 2 wins on the season. Then it's Connor Zook after that. Sorry, I got off the numbers a little bit. Jackson 14th, Zook 15th, Cody Welch. Again, could this be the week? Trying to get redemption for that finish from last week. He is going to be starting on the outside of row number 8. Then it's Trey Ellis, Jonathan Platt, Matt Crockett, and Garrett Hall making his return to the series will round off the top 20. Fortunately, we do not have time to go through the entire grid, so I'll just scroll down quickly because we got to get to your race start. But there is the remainder of the leaderboard, so we'll go down by 10s. Christopher Hamilton, an important name in the series as well. He's been great in the races he's run this season. And we also see Joel Wiggins making his debut tonight there at the bottom of the grid. And there is your starting lineup for tonight's race at Las Vegas. I'm pumped. Let's get ready to go. Everybody get excited there on the broadcast because we were about to start. We've had some barn burner races these last couple weeks, and I have the feeling tonight is going to be yet another. Getting ready to take the green flag. GFR Racing 1 and 2. Mark Allen Bivens and Steve Ulrich on row 2. Getting set up, doubled up, stacked up, ready to go. And the green flag comes out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Big jump for the 2, big jump for the 8. And Steve Ulrich there sitting in the 4th spot, dropping back already. The 25 truck having a tough time getting going. Kind of stacked the field up there for a minute, but we go green and stay clear for the time being. So we will continue onwards. Up front, Nick Nickerson, though, looking good right out of turns 1 and 2, carrying plenty of momentum. But Mark Allen Bivens there on the inside, trying to jump up the inside of Kevin Foster. Like he thought about it, thought he might have an opportunity, but unfortunately didn't have the run off of turn number 2 he needed. Peter Murphy, though, already up 2 spots. The 38 truck is just flying through the field right off the bat. He has already moved up into the 3rd spot, and Mark Allen Bivens going to slide in behind in 4th. So your new top 5, it'll be Nickerson, Foster, Murphy, Bivens, and it's going to be Jason Greenwell sitting there in 5th. But Brett Guzik tonight running another pink livery in honor of breast cancer awareness. He's going to go to 4th because Mark Allen Bivens has dropped back. Going to go to the high line, 3 wide on the outside of both Tony Hilbrands and Jason Greenwell. Greenwell is going to slot back in, as is Tony Hilbrands, but the battle continues. Mark Allen Bivens has got to get in a group there a little bit. He's losing more spots. Ricky Hart goes by. We're seeing the 13 at Christopher Ferrara go by. Just looks like there's something wrong with that 76 truck of Bivens. Just since a great qualifying performance has not quite had the pace up front. But speaking of up front, Peter Murphy down to the inside of Kevin Foster. 2 completely new names at the front of the field because Nick Nickerson lost that spot, but now he's going to get it back. Kevin Foster's going to go to that high groove. I'm almost wondering if this must just be a tire conserving strategy because it is not faster, but we're seeing plenty of guys looking to that high wall line. So we will see if that continues going forward. But Peter Murphy down to the inside. Tonight's driver profile driver in the 38 truck running, as he mentioned, a slightly different livery. He is putting it to good use. He is going to lead the 3rd lap of the race. We are already 3 laps into a very chaotic race here in Texas. Brett Guzik going below the line there. Getting below the apron. Whoa! Taps the 38 truck. Down below the apron, trying to get back on track safely. He almost squeezes Ricky Hart and Jason Greenwell, but we stay green. No more issues. Brett Guzik just getting shoved out there. Took a bit of an aggressive dive down there through the bottom of the apron. Tried to get back on track, and Peter Murphy did just not take it at all. So yeah, Peter Murphy back to the front of the field, got the 2 truck all over his back bumper. Same with his teammate, the 8 of Kevin Foster. And it's Tony Hilbrand side by side with Jason Greenwell, Ricky Hart after that. And that's quite a gap back to Christopher Ferrara there, still sitting in the 7th spot and running a tribute number tonight to the breast cancer awareness cause. Looking elsewhere throughout the field, we got battles everywhere. I just got to figure out where to go. Where do we want to go first? We see a battle kind of mid-pack here. Look at this jumble of cars. Holy cow. Look at just the starts we've been having in this series lately. The trucks here at Texas are going nuts. This package is perfect for 3-wide racing. And we are seeing so much of it, but we're also seeing a wreck. Andrew Zook, I'm seeing, is involved. Another Zook making his debut tonight. John Graham was in it. Joel Wiggins as well. I think we saw, yeah, Jonathan Platt there, as well as Brandon Gears, who's also making his debut tonight. Plenty of debuts tonight, and many of those drivers involved in the wreck. So again, there you go, Jonathan Platt, who just is quick in practice, always running good times, but man, when we get in the race, things just seem to go wrong. So let's go back in the Full Send Racing Network replay and see what brought out the first caution of the night. There you go. It's the 73 truck of Brandon Gears. Gets a bit of a shove from Gary Wright. Whoa, the 07 of, that was Andrew Zook again making his debut tonight. Just shot like a dart up towards the outside wall. So there must have been some other element to that wreck. Let's go immediately and go to the perspective of Zook here. So the 07 truck kind of gets tapped in the quarter panel by the 32 of Condis. I think that's what kind of kicked this whole thing off. Then he shoots up into the outside wall, gets into Gears. So I think Gears' contact with Wright was kind of in response to trying to avoid that wreck up front. And Brandon Gears tonight making his debut there in the 73 truck, not starting it off the way he would have liked there. Considerable damage to the front end of that gray number 73. So I think that's a quick repair right off the bat kind of truck there. You see the smoke coming out of the back. So he'll go use this one and only quick repair. And again, we have him for a reason. You know, if you can make an entirely clean race to the finish from this point onwards, there's always the potential to come back and do kind of a Cody Welch style comeback drive like we saw last week. But it is not easy, and you certainly, especially at a race like Texas this week, or sorry, like Las Vegas, similar to Texas last week, you're going to see some wrecks, and they're going to be frequent. So trying to save up those quick repairs to be as, you know, fit to deal with any situation as possible. It's going to be pretty key, and unfortunately, when you take a wreck like that pretty early, it makes it reasonably tough. So first caution of the night, Peter Murphy, now your new race leader alongside pole sitter tonight, Mr. Nick Nickerson. And I also want to take a moment just very quickly, as I often do, to shout out the Bandit Racing League merch. We got merch, everybody. Don't forget that is a thing. So, yeah, if you want to go check the link out in the description down below, you go to the Bandit Racing League website, see all of our information. But we still got merch. We've added some new stuff again since this video was filmed, so there's always more stuff. Bill Harkins is working really hard and putting this stuff together and getting it out there and getting it sorted. So we got our Nick Nickerson t-shirt for, you know, his kind of championship t-shirt. So running the same colors, same custom number he ran last season. So kind of a nice piece there for any, you know, Nick Nickerson fans of our defending series champion. Actually, there it is there. You can see it on your screen. So if you want to pick up some merch like that, I know Kevin Foster's got some stuff that either has already come out or is being worked on for him, another former series 2-time champion. And yeah, we got some tank tops. We got some stuff from Full Send Racing Network. We got some stuff for the series in general. There's all sorts of stuff. So again, if you're new to the series, if you haven't checked it out before, go check it out. And you can support the series, support your favorite drivers, and as it says there, all profit goes to support the league. They're made with very low profit in mind. We don't want to take all your money on this thing. We're happy enough that you guys come out every week and and give us the opportunity to support the series and do what we love to do here on the broadcast. So if you want to check it out, absolutely feel free, and it's at a very good price point for the quality, and supporting the series is just so awesome. You know, if people ask you about it, that's great, and you can tell them what it is you watch every Wednesday night here on the Full Send Racing Network. So feel free to check it out. Always cool if you do. And there you go. So with that, well, the lights in the pace truck are off, so we're getting ready to go. Quick cautions here. It seems like it'll be tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, it's so similar to Texas, and we'll talk about it a little bit with the track preview, just how similar it is, but it is a very similar track. I might mix it up and refer to it as Texas a couple times tonight, but we'll try to put that to the side. It's going to be a similar race, and the fact that I see Ricky Hart up there in the top 6 is a good testament to just how quick he's going to be yet again tonight. But keep an eye on Cody Welch there, see how he moves throughout the field, and see if he can follow up the heartbreaking, non-win last week that came so close to being one. But here we go. Peter Murphy, the control truck. Green flag, the 38 with a beautiful jump. Gets a great jump off the front end of the number 8 truck of Kevin Foster. And he is gone. Green flag here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Side by side goes Hilbrands. And it was Hilbrands and Kevin Foster there battling for the 3rd spot. Hilbrands on the high side, Kevin Foster on the low side. And with 3 groups here at Las Vegas, there's going to be so much potential for anybody from any line to make a pass in any given spot. So keep an eye on that battle for 3rd for the moment. A little ways further back, we're seeing a couple of guys kind of getting into a single file line. They're pretty much done with this whole side-by-side chaos side of things. Now we see Tony Hilbrand slotting in behind Kevin Foster. So the 2 and the 8 truck will stay in the podium spots, as I believe they have the entire race so far. Looking back a little bit, Nick Nickerson might try a move to the top of Peter Murphy, but no, the 38 truck going to close off the bottom line, and as a result should have the momentum necessary to hold the first position till the end of at least the second corner of lap 10, though Nick Nickerson, there he goes to the outside. Side by side we go, heading down to turn number 3. This is going to be the question mark. Last week, turn 3 was kind of the passing corner, and we saw all throughout the race, guys were trying to make moves on any given lap, so just because it is lap 10, don't expect that Nick Nickerson won't try to get back to the front and take a bonus point for leading the most laps. So there he goes, off to a great run there from the outside line, going to the top side of the 38 truck. Again, though, I think that bottom line, until it starts to come out a little bit and that high line kind of works its way in, I don't think we're going to be able to see a pass from Nick Nickerson, unless he got a better run, which he did, and he's going to get some help. Kevin Foster coming with him, going to try to give him a shove as his fellow teammate. There, again, affiliate teammate. There are no official teams in the series, but the GFR Racing guys are going to do whatever they can to put themselves up front, though. Peter Murphy fighting solo on that inside line, the only guy still down there doing whatever he can to try to lead laps, but it'll be the 2 truck at the line that last time by. Looking elsewhere throughout the field, a new name in the series, again, that 400 truck of Joshua McQuiven sitting there in the 8th spot, and he is a Canadian, so shout out to a fellow Canuck like myself, but doing pretty well for himself so far, sitting in the 8th spot, right up the back bumper of the 83 of Jason Greenwell, the pompous man himself, as we call him. Jokingly, of course, if you're new to the series, we love you, Jason. But up front a little bit further, it's 3 wide for 3 rows. Sorry, 2 wide for 3 rows, I should say. Ricky Hart on the back end of that, but we've got Christopher Ferrara there on the inside line, trying to go down the inside of Kevin Foster. And I think he might try to give a little bit of support for Peter Murphy, who has just been, again, battling it out all by himself this entire time. First 13 laps here, lucky 13 and the 13th round of the season at Las Vegas. So who is going to be the high roller tonight and take the win away? And it's going to be talent, but there might be a little bit of luck. And right now, the luck is just coming down to don't get involved in a wreck if one happens. I'm honestly surprised at this point that we've gone this many laps side by side with not even the slightest bobble really from anybody. So this is impressive. There we go. Right as I say it, we almost see a tap there. Almost a little bit of contact there at the line as we come across. But still, Peter Murphy will lead. We are still 3 rows of 2 wide here on lap number 14. Looking back a little ways, Brett Guzik there on the outside line as well. So just look at how many rows of 2 wide. There are so many different groups here at Texas. You can run the high line, you can run the low line. I just called it Texas again. Las Vegas, I really got to get in the groove of that. So Las Vegas, such potential for runs on the outside. But again, that inside line, as it often is going to be really dominant when it comes to defending and just trying to close off the driver on the high side. Still looking good here up front. What a battle. Let's just take a brief moment. We're going to go mics off. Just watch off the back bumper of the 38 of Peter Murphy and just get an idea for, honestly, just how talented the drivers in this series are. Look at the racing we're seeing early here at Las Vegas. Now on board with Christopher Ferrara, and Christopher is having quite the run for himself there. I think he was taking a chance there into corner 1 that last time by. He took a peek down the inside of the 38 truck, but thought better of it. There you go, you got an Evan Wall media shout out there, so I'm sure I'll talk about it later in the race. But Evan Wall does all the broadcasts for our series, as well as trucks, and including Christopher Ferrara, so shout out to him. But Christopher doing his very best to stay up there in the top 3, and this is an important, pivotal race for his season, because he is the cutoff driver in the playoffs. He's sitting right below that cutoff line, I think currently in 20th out of the 18 spots needed to make the playoffs, so he is darn close, or sorry, 22 out of 20, I should say. So tonight, huge night for Christopher Ferrara there, but same with Peter Murphy, who still leads the race. Although Nick Nickerson, a great run around the outside, the 2 truck trying to take over the lead, trying to make it 4 wins on the season very early in tonight's event. Going to go around the top side, get a little bit of help from the 8 truck, and he will lead the 18th lap. So it's going to be a battle between the 38 and the 13 trying to make the playoffs. Though remember, a win would punch either of them into the playoffs and free up a spot. So you never know. Maybe these guys trying to make it into the playoffs going to team up a little bit for mutual benefit. But for the time being, it is Nickerson, Foster, both GFR racing teammates on the outside the line, going to move up into the top 2 spots. Then it's Murphy, Hilbrands, Ferrara, Hart, Greenwell, Bivens, Zook, and Guzik, your top 10. That inside the line again starting to form up. It was the top line that was so dominant for quite a while there, but maybe that inside the line starting to work its way in a little bit, and people feeling a little bit more confident that the tires will last as long as they need them to on this run. I was hearing from Matt Crockett pre-race, it was going to be about 30 to 36 laps on a tank of gas. You can extend that to about 38 because of that first caution, so it'll be a bit. But Peter Murphy's starting to kind of phase out of this battle a little bit. Now drops back to 4th, and he's just going to slide in behind Tony Hilbrands, who now moves into the podium spot. So there you go. That was going to be about the run for Peter Murphy, but the caution has come out, I now notice, so that might explain some of that. My telemetry just reset itself. I'm seeing Alan Castle was the main driver involved in that, so let's go see what happened to Alan Castle to bring up the second caution of the night. Here we go, the 33 of Alan Castle running a new livery tonight and hooks the back bumper of the 26 of Garrett Hall, making his return to the series tonight, and he gets a bit of a love tap there at the very end, slides sideways across the line there, so got to get a little bit more context for what happened. So this is a bit of a wider view. Hall, it was pretty even, I got to say. You know, the 33 truck was, hugging his line, wasn't quite hugged up to the top wall, but you don't completely need to expect him to be, so that was kind of, again, a 50-50. Hull kind of slid up there from the inside line, trying to go wide, maybe thinking the 33 was going to go a little bit wider than he did, but he did not, and as a result, we made contact, and impressed that nobody else was involved. We'll go back to one more replay there, maybe get a chopper camera view and see what people behind would have been seeing there. So you see the 2 guys getting together. The 96 of John Graham just goes to the apron, and that was about all that was left behind them, so Andrew Zook sneaking by. I think it was Brandon Jackson, actually, Hunter Henry. So everybody's all okay there. And the second caution of the night will only involve 2 drivers. So there you go. Early pit stops, though, we're seeing here tonight. We got our first pit stop of the day, and this is going to be the camera to watch all night. We're going to see who comes off of pit road first. And, well, I think effectively it should have been Nick Nickerson there, the first driver on a pit road. He's sitting there in the first pit box as the pole sitter. So Kevin Foster's actually going to win the race off. Then it's Hilbrands. Then it's Nickerson. Then it's Ferrara, Hart, Bivens. Who's that after that? Wiggins actually moving up there. A new driver making his debut tonight. That is, got to remember his first name, Joel Wiggins there in the 68 truck. And it's Guzik, Murphy running off the top 10. And the rest of the giant line of trucks is going to go by. So the leader of the race becomes Jonathan Platt, which is both a surprise and not a surprise. A surprise in the sense that he just wrecked a moment ago. And I think it was involved in that first caution of the day. So the 43 truck already kind of behind the 8 ball early, but he got his quick repair and he came back out on track. And as a result of pitting earlier, doesn't really need to worry about fuel, at least not for this stint. And is, he's now your race leader. So shout out to Jonathan Platt. We're going to take a couple of opportunities tonight throughout the race to take quick breaks, just because, it's an individual booth tonight. It's only myself, so got to take quick breaks every once in a while to kind of recharge. But we're going to look throughout the field and go on board from a driver's perspective for these breaks. That way you get a bit of a personal touch to the whole thing. So I think for the very first, we're going to go to kind of the story of the race guy last week, Cody Welch. We see Jonathan Platt coming down pit road as we speak, but unfortunately last week, really the heartbreak of the season so far, I would say. The guy that just came so close, ran so well this season. His sophomore season since his runner-up position in the championship last year has not been a bad one for Cody Welch at all, but unfortunately last week, if you were there, you know how heartbreaking that was for both him and everybody else. And Ricky Hart was extremely sad that it ended the way that it did. So we'll go to Cody Welch. We'll do a couple laps on board with him for a few minutes. And in the 23 position, it is the 85 truck. And we're going to go on board with him for a moment. We'll be right back in just a moment after a quick break. And with that, the lights of the pace truck are now off, so we are all set to go this next time by here at Las Vegas for, once again, the Breast Cancer Awareness 100, presented by Eastwood Detailing, currently led by the 8 of Kevin Foster. He won the race off the pit road after Nick Nickerson, I believe, either took extra tires or maybe a little bit more fuel, whatever it may be. He is now on the inside of row number 2, right behind his teammate, Mr. Kevin Foster, in the 8 truck. So Kevin, another guy that has yet to score a win, but he's had a great season so far, sitting in, I think, second in the overall points, without a win. So that just speaks to his consistency, his ability to rattle off good results, and unfortunately couldn't come away with the win last week at his hometown track there in Texas, but tonight at Las Vegas might turn it around, could go for the 9th different winner of our season. And what great parity we've had, and now it's time to see if it'll pay off. The pace truck taking the left-hander onto pit road. He's going to be the control truck from the outside lane, but the green flag flies, so we'll see if it works for him. The 8 truck of Kevin Foster, a massive jump. Holy cow. Look at the run by the 8 truck right across the line, so he went early. And Tony Hilbrands and Nick Nickerson just did not quite catch up, so the run begins. Hilbrands and Nickerson side by side for second right off the bat. Same with Hart and Ferrara momentarily, but Ricky Hart will win the better of that exchange. He's going to go to the, I think, the outside, maybe going to try the move on Tony Hilbrands for third, that was going to think better of it and slot in for fourth. Now the question becomes, where are the battles on track? Everybody's kind of just settling into a single file line. We've seen back a little ways there. That's Curtis Yancey with a bit of a bobble coming off of turn number 4. The 51 truck sitting right behind Jason Greenwell, trying to find an opening somewhere. Guzik side by side with the debuting Joel Wiggins there. In the 68 Mountain Dew truck. Then it's McQuiggan and the 400 right behind. Again, the Canadian there. We got we had 2 Canadians in the top 10. Now it's just the one of McQuiggan. McQuiggan down to the inside there of the again the 68 of Wiggins. Now Greenwell maybe looking at a move. We're gonna have 3 wide, but no, he backs out. The 83 truck again thinking better of it. Maybe just didn't have the run. Curtis Yancey gonna get kind of shuffled out there a little bit. Just did not quite get the run through the middle of the corner that he needed. Didn't get the turning, and well, as a result, is going to have to reset. We have the 2 opposite paint schemes of Connor and Cale Zook, respectively. The 55 of Connor and the 44 of Cale. So the brothers teaming up, and they've got Andrew Zook in the crowd tonight as well. So any of you Zook family members at home, if you guys want to tell me who Andrew is and relation to the family dynamic overall, please let me know. And so we got 3 Zooks in tonight's race, and 2 of them are teaming up to shoot down the inside of the 51 of Yancey. We might have a new 12th place and 13th place car, respectively, and maybe with the lucky 13 and the 13th round of the season tonight at Las Vegas, maybe that is the place to be. Back up to the front, though, it is Nick Nickerson, your new leader of the race, and he's sitting right in front of Kevin Foster there in the 8 truck. The 2 GFR Racing teammates have been relatively up front the entire race, and after a quick bobble in the pits that lost him a couple spots, or maybe just a strategy call, Nick is back up to the front. He is in close proximity to the driver of the number 38 truck, who's going to go down to the inside again. Peter Murphy getting the better of the 8 truck of Kevin Foster, and now he's going for Nick as well. Peter Murphy, tonight's driver profile driver. Man, he is representing that segment in good use. He said he was feeling pretty good about Las Vegas, and man, he has proven that tonight. And that new 38 truck, that different livery he's going to run for the month of October, it might find itself in victory lane tonight. Side by side as we come out of turn number 2, the 38 and the 2 truck. What a battle so far. 38 just not giving Nick any room to breathe with. And Nick has been so fast these last couple weeks, but whether it be Ashley Molino or Peter Murphy, there's always somebody trying to get the better of him. So tonight it is the 38. They're going to go right next to each other as we cross the line, just not giving each other even an inch on track to get the better run into each corner. This time the 38 will have a bit of a tight entry to turn number 1. He's burning up his tires a lot more than the 2 truck is, but in the short term it might get him the spot, so I doubt he cares. But we are still side by side as we come up to turn number 3. Still side by side here in this battle for the lead. I want to jump away and talk about some other stuff, but I keep worrying this is going to go somewhere, and I'm fearing a wreck. But further back, the Zooks, look at the progress they're making up. 4 more spots. Now going to go to the apron. The Zook connection, the 55 and the 44 running both tribute numbers and door numbers here. Sorry, numbers on the door and specialty rims tonight for the breast cancer awareness cause. They are putting those trucks to good use. Now up to 5th and 7th respectively. The Zook connection, we're going to have to coin that, because here they go. Up the inside of Hilbrands, who's been such a quick truck tonight. They are just flying through the field. Look at this. Now they're going to get Kevin Foster. We're going to see a Zook in the lead of this race in just a moment. That is if Peter Murphy doesn't take it first, because he is still to the inside of Nickerson. We're 30 laps in here at Las Vegas. It has flown by, but what a race we've seen so far. Still, the battle continues. The Zooks teaming up once again. Now they're in 3rd and 4th. The progress is staggering. We're going to go off the back bumper of the second Zook there. Cale Zook sitting in the 5th spot at the moment. Now sitting up here in 4th, and just look at the push. Going to give a shove to Cale Zook. Now Connor's up to the inside of Nick Nickerson. They're going for 2nd. They might be going for 1st in a minute. Look at this. They were 12th like 5 laps ago. And the pushing is just incredible. Like, for an intermediate track, the level of confidence these two guys have, it is almost like symbiotic twin nature stuff. Like, this is crazy. Nickerson trying to fight back. We might have to see the two guys that have been battling all race so far, Murphy and Nickerson, might have to team up to try to defend this run. And Peter's going to kind of block him in there, going to sit in front, and Nickerson's going to block off the top line from the 44. But still, 2 Zooks in the podium spots. And it's a Zook in 2nd, 3rd, and then unfortunately, as a result of the earlier incident, Andrew Zook rounds out the field. But what a night tonight for this family overall. And sitting there in 2nd and 3rd, going to slot in and carry on forwards and keep an eye on that battle for the lead. Now Nickerson's going to go to the outside, block off the middle is Zook. They're just kind of defending around each other's weaknesses. Now they're going to go to the inside. It is a pass for the lead. Cale Zook going to try to push his brother to the win. Well, at least for first for the time being. I doubt that connection will last till the end of the race, but Connor Zook, the 55, is going to lead at the line. What a run these two guys have made through the field. It's been great to watch, and they'll continue on further. But 2 new race leaders, as now Murphy's got to worry about Cale Zook, the 44 truck going with him. Where is this pace coming from? These two guys just looking great tonight at Vegas. But now that team up on the outside line that I hinted at, these two guys that have been so quick, dominating individually all night, they're going to have to team up on the outside line to both conserve tires and try to get back to the lead, because this connection is proving deadly at the moment. You got to think they got some sort of communication in the background, and that makes them definitely very prevalent to worry about here in terms of the double dynamic. Then we got Joshua McQuiggan now side by side with Curtis Yancey. This is the battle for 5th. Again, McQuiggan making a great name for himself in his debut tonight in the 400 truck, and he's battling with the always hard-charging Curtis Yancey in the 51. The biggest mover of the race tonight is something I always mention, is a tie between Cale Zook, 22 spots up from 26th to 4th, and Yancey up from 28th to 6th. So both guys that have been making plenty of progress. But another guy I want to mention as well, Christopher Hamilton there in the 15. Every race he's run this season, he's been so good, and he's proving it again tonight. He is up 16 spots. So some of these guys here tonight, they're just finding passing opportunities, and they're making it work. You know, I almost don't care if they're burning up tires this early in the event, because to make up that much track position this early is an impressive feat in its own right, whether it lasts or not. In the short term, it's will make the races a whole lot easier. Back up to the front, it's Peter Murphy and Nick Nickerson. The team up did work, so the Zook connection gonna have to go on the back burner for just a moment, because they have been passed back by the 2 drivers with the most laps led in tonight's race. And it's Peter Murphy back up to the front, 37 laps in. We are now past what would have been the first pit stop cycle spot in the green flag segment. So that's the question with that pit stop on lap number 22 and that second caution. When are we going to see green flag pit stops happen, and how will they affect the race order? But a little ways further back, let's talk about some more battles. Mark Allen Bivens getting passed by Trey Ellis here as we come down the backstretch towards turn number 3. The 76 truck tonight running that new livery goes, essentially right behind the 4 truck of Trey Ellis. Going to have to slide in behind Michael Ramos right behind him, and Bill Harkins, 2 guys right on the cutoff for the playoffs, trying to get valuable points tonight to make the playoffs for season 9 and at least make the first round. And they are, in order to do that, they're going to need some great positions and great finishes here this season. And right now, they are working their way through, maybe teaming up a little bit, as I think might be more prevalent tonight than I would have thought it would be. But guys, have very similar goals at this point in the season. They want to make the playoffs. They want to get a first podium, a first win, or they happen to be brothers. Whatever it may be, we're going to see some of those connections in the bump drafts are proving strong tonight at Las Vegas. So something to keep an eye on. Another little battle here on track. 2 guys that, veterans of the series, 2 guys with many combined wins under their belt and 3 combined championships. Kevin Foster and Ricky Hart sitting in 9th and 10th respectively, and seem to be kind of calm for the time being, not really battling for position. Andrew Zook in the 07 truck is going to kind of throw a wrench in the plans of these guys in the lead lap, and he's going to force it 3 wide. We almost saw a collision there as Connor Zook slid up in front of Peter Murphy for a moment, but we are fine for the time being. So the Zook connection coming back. They're going to form up a line once again, try to push themselves past Peter Murphy for the time being, at least as far as the 55 is concerned, and then they can worry about the race leader, Nick Nickerson. We're 40% of the way through here at Las Vegas. And what a race it has been so far. Again, it's Nickerson, Peter Murphy, Connor Zook, Cale Zook, then McQuiggan sitting there in 5th. That's Joshua McQuiggan making his debut tonight. And just a reminder, the 55 Zook is Connor Zook on the timing tower, and the 44 is Cale. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to differentiate their names on the timing tower, but for the time being, that is all you need to know. But a ways further back, though, is that Andrew Zook trying to get in the picture? The 07, the other Zook, who is, I believe currently 2 laps down, fighting back, getting in the picture, and he's getting involved with this lead lap battle. Is he going to try to help out here, or maybe he's just on newer tires and is trying to get through these lead lap trucks to kind of get out of the way a little bit? Whatever it may be, he is going to make this dynamic very interesting. So if you were the 400 truck here of Joshua McQuiggan, I'm just curious to know, if you're seeing 3 guys all with identical last names on the timing screen, you know, what is going through your head? Actually, what's going through his head right now is, holy cow, that is the 15 truck of Christopher Hamilton flying to my outside down to turn number 1. He is, well, he's got a good run, but I think he's going to have to back off a little bit because all this chaos up front. Though I think the 400 getting stuck behind the 44 of Kalzuk, who did not have a great corner entry. So here goes the 15 of Hamilton up into the top 5, and now he might get set up to go for a move on Kalzuk here. Just so much movement throughout the top 5, but what has stayed consistent is up front, the 2 truck is starting to pull away 42 laps into the event. Looking comfortable there, about 6/10 ahead, though. Connor Zook and Peter Murphy back to the side-by-side battling. Connor Zook on the inside, which again appears to be the dominant line both offensively and at least short-term defensively. The question is, can Peter Murphy continue to use the outside line to good effect as he has so far tonight? And he's at least going to try. He is going to get the better on off of turn 2. So, I don't know. That outside line's starting to come in here later in these runs, and I think it might be something to watch out for. I think just because you get to the inside of somebody doesn't mean that it is a foregone conclusion that that move will get done. So Connor Zook in the 55 will drop back, and now into the 3rd spot. Peter Murphy takes over 2nd once again, and the hard-charging Christopher Hamilton up 20 spots from 24th to 4th. The 15 is going to get involved in this battle momentarily. A little ways further back in the field, let's just talk about this battle here. I believe this is currently for 29th, but it's Anthony Caetano and Alan Castle, as well as Garrett Hall, kind of getting tangled in with each other. So it was a little bit better a moment ago. Now we've all kind of single filed out, so it'll be Hall, Caetano, and Castle getting the better of each other in that order in that exchange. Back up though, the Zook connection. It's back. The 55, the 44, and they were just passed by Christopher Hamilton, I'm seeing. So the 15 truck up into 3rd, and again, probably the most hard-charging, best momentum guy on track right now. The 15 is looking good there right now at this point in the run. Maybe these longer runs just suiting him better. They certainly seem to quite a bit at Mosport, but again, that is a very different circuit than the 1.5 mile intermediate oval tonight at Las Vegas. So 15 truck up into the podium spots, and it's a Nickerson, Murphy, and Hamilton podium right now. Something that would be relatively unique for the season. I think Christopher Hamilton's only got 1 podium to this point in the season, and Peter Murphy has yet to score one this year. So would be something a little bit different, and 2 Zooks in the top 5 as of right now. What a race order we're seeing, with Jason Greenwell kind of creeping back into the picture as well. He's actually quietly had a great year. He's got a couple of top 5s to his name this season and could add to that tally tonight. I saw Joel Wiggins just went off track a moment ago in the 68 truck, so has recovered and will continue on forwards. Jason Romey in the 08 truck is now in the pits, and he's parked in his pit box, so is getting service for tires, I would presume. He is indeed the Canadian, the 08 of Jason Romey. Now on pit road, he'll come out in just a moment. Brandon Gears is also on track. And sorry, Nolan Gross. I thought I saw a couple other drivers in the pits, but not to be for the time being. So back up to the front, Nick Nickerson, and now Christopher Hamilton in 2nd. He's going to go around the outside of Peter Murphy there for the 2nd spot. Murphy on the bottom trying to hold down the inside line, but it will not work for the time being. So perhaps Peter a little bit more suited to that outside line than the inside line, but for the time being, Christopher Hamilton, perhaps on newer tires, is just dicing up this field right now. He's looking great, and he doesn't really need help to do it, as we're seeing. It's required quite a bit of help for the Zooks to have quite as much pace as they did there on that last bit of the stint, but the 15 truck doing it all solo. Keeping an eye here between Peter Murphy and the 2 Zooks. I mean, Peter must just be so fed up right now. Like, he's seeing these 2 brothers just helping each other out every step of the way so far, not giving each other an inch when it comes to trying to, let each other do their own thing and drive individually. They are just locked together this entire race so far. So it's working for him. But man, if you're Peter Murphy, you got to start getting annoyed at this point and going, where is my help? I was the driver profile driver. Why can't I get a little bit of recognition and have somebody help me to the front here? Because Marshall really wants a driver profile driver to win the race. And I'll be transparent about that. It's kind of becoming a jinx to this point that nobody who's been on this segment, we've interviewed some great drivers. Nobody has won a race on the same night they featured in the driver profile yet. So come on, Peter, be the change to that kind of jinx tonight. And he's certainly going to do his best. But Nick Nickerson comes across the line for lap 50. And next time by, we're going to be halfway through tonight's event at Las Vegas. We're going to go to a quick, brief side-by-side as drivers continue to come down pit road. David Lakey on pit road, Cody Welch, and Terry Condis all on pit lane as we speak. But we're going to go back up to the front here for just a moment with Nick Nickerson, and we're going to go to a quick side-by-side. We'll keep an eye on any more action on track, and we'll jump to it. And if we need to jump back, we will. But just a moment, we'll be right back on the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League as the 2-truck of Nick Nickerson pits onto pit road. We are back, and what a jumble of trucks we just saw hop onto pit road. You saw that massive gaggle of trucks coming off the exit there on that alternate camera we had from the end of pit road. And, well, the real winner of that sequence was Nick Nickerson, now like 2 seconds clear of anybody else in that entire pitting vicinity. So he is breaking away there from Peter Murphy, who is actually decently far back. Well, he's in the conversation, but certainly quite a few truck lengths behind at the moment. We see McQuiggan now coming out of the pits there, Joshua McQuiggan, who was, well, I think running pretty decently up in that pack. I think it was certainly top 10 before the pit cycle started up. So everybody, at least everybody that I'm aware of, has now pitted under green. We'll have to see how that shuffles the field around. But Joshua McQuiggan going to phase out back onto the track in 7th. So provided he can keep up with this pack of Greenwell and Foster trying to go by around. Whoa, Greenwell on the outside wall. The 83 truck goes around right after the green flag pit cycle. Caution should come out momentarily. The 83 truck, maybe not. Maybe he's just going to have to limp it back to pit road on his own power, and he will. No caution tonight. Horrible luck on that behalf for Jason Greenwell. That looked like a rough wreck, and I'm incredibly surprised, actually, iRacing didn't call a caution for that. But, wow. So we will continue on. Got to keep up with this pack up front that is now formed after that last pit cycle. And important to note in this Zook connection I've been talking about all night, it is now Cale Zook who leads of the two. The 44 truck up to 5th. The 55 back to 6th, right behind Christopher Hamilton, Peter Murphy, and now Curtis Yancey moving up into the 2nd spot there in the 51 truck, going down the inside of the lap down Victor Weaver. And yeah, still about a full second behind Nick Nickerson. Whoa, who is that in the background? Is that Connor Zook? Kind of pulling out a line there, dicing around a little bit, trying to maybe find the best groove right behind the 44 of Cale Zook. We kind of got past the cold tires phase of this last stop, so shouldn't have too many wrecks as a result of that last pit stop for the remainder of this stint. And I feel bad, we're going to keep you tuned into the race, but I did mention to Eddie Hagge, who is not here tonight, qualified on the front row for last week's race. Unfortunately, couldn't race in tonight's event, but I said I would keep an eye out for him, and maybe we could drag him into the booth for a bit of a driver's perspective at some point throughout the race. So we can do that right now. Just give me a quick moment. We can get a driver's perspective here from our very own Eddie Hagge, a guy who's had a great season so far, as we watch race leader Nick Nickerson and maybe look back for a moment at some of the battles happening in the top 10. Hey, Eddie, it's Marshall from the broadcast booth. You got me there? Oh, no connection as of right now. We'll retry in just a moment, see if you can hear us. But Christopher Hamilton's still sitting there in 4th, right behind the 38 of Peter Murphy. They've been in, well, quite a bit of a tangle this entire race so far, and they've been keeping it clean. Two great drivers that, in the case of Christopher Hamilton, are very new, and in the case of Peter Murphy, quite experienced. So we're seeing quite a bit of variety in terms of the overall experience level of the two guys. But we'll see if we can get Eddie Hagge in the booth in just a moment, see if he is available. For the time being, this battle continues. The 15 truck down to the bottom of Peter Murphy. He'll get the move done for the time being, but the question is, can Peter Murphy use another one of those great runs on the top side he seems to get and put himself back past the 15 truck? Almost slides up in front of him a little bit too early there, heading on the entry to 1. But no, we stay green for the time being. We stay clean, and now the 44 truck is going to capitalize. The 44 Cale Zook down the inside as well. Connor Zook, they're going to, of course, form up in behind, try to go by with him. And Christopher Hamilton now up into the podium spots, and if I'm Curtis Yancey sitting there in second right now, I got to watch out for this 15 truck because, man, when he's on a good set of rubber in this race, he is looking quick. We're going to pull this graphic down for the time being because it looks like we'll have to wait a moment at minimum to see Eddie Hagge in the booth. But for the time being, it is the Zook connection once again. We're essentially 3 wide now coming off of turn number 2. It is rough in this middle section of the field right now. Everybody just trying to find their way past lap cars, trying to get very valuable spots. Whoa, there's the trouble. Peter Murphy slides into Victor Weaver, who was a lap down, was very close to this pack. And now's the question, can people avoid him? They have so far, and now he is off track, so nothing bad will come of it for the lead lap cars, but he was running really close to that pack, and it was tough because he had a 2 wide group in behind him, you know. Not a ton of ground to work with to let guys by, but well, that caution just shook up this entire race. The complexion of this event just totally changed because we were 1 pit stop away. You know, guys could comfortably make it on 1 more stop, and with the way things were going, I don't know who was catching Nick Nickerson. So we're going to go to the Full Send Racing Network replay and see what brought out caution number 3. Well, we already knew what brought out caution number 3, but that's a good alternate view of it. So, yeah, just no room for poor Victor Weaver, man. I mean, you could have hugged the wall a little bit harder, but like, come on, you know, that's semantics at that point. Yeah, that's just tough. You can run 3 wide at Texas, but you know, when you're running with 1 lap down truck and 2 trucks on the lead lap, it's just not everybody is kind of on the same playing field. You know that Victor Weaver's trying to let these guys by as best he can, and they are not so much doing that. They're fighting for every spot they possibly can, and if you're Peter Murphy, you're just trying to find a way to defend from the 2 Zooks there. Kevin Foster almost got his clock clean there. We got to go check a quick replay of that to see how close he came. Gonna maybe go to the rear camera here and just get his perspective from the front of that truck. So here's the 8 of Kevin Foster. Come through the corner. Oh, clip the tiniest bit of it. Even my program, it was such a small bump that my iRacing doesn't think he's got damage, but based on the collision sound there and the little bit of cave-in on the front end of Victor Weaver, I'm going to assume that he does have some minor aero damage. But whether that is the case or not, we'll see if Kevin Foster is able to take a quick repair, if he even wants to bother, and if he's able to recover. Because again, he was running well in that first segment. He's second in overall points, but that first win just continues to elude him at this point. So we'll see if we are only a couple laps away from maybe making that, well, not the case for the rest of the season and getting Mr. Kevin Foster his first win of the year. But for the time being, it is going to be the 2 truck and Nick Nickerson back up at the front of the field. And what a night for him so far. Doing that textbook Nick Nickerson leading most of the race style that he always does. He's just so quick, and I know he's a guy that likes to lead from the front. So keep an eye on him the rest of the race, and as he often is in the series, he's got to be your probably your race favorite at this point to take away win number 4. But we do these races for a reason. We got more parity than we ever have. Don't count anybody out at this point in the race. So we're going to go to another quick break, but let's go to a different driver on track, and maybe we're going to check in with Mr. Jason Greenwell, driver of the number 83 truck, who was sitting up there, well, quite a ways up in front earlier. Now he's back down in 31st, and well, yeah, we'll give him some love because we love Jason on the broadcast. Always super well dressed, even in his profile photo there, in the Mount Vernon, Indiana native. We'll give him his time in the spotlight. So we're right on board with the 83 truck for a couple laps, and by the time we get back, we'll be ready to go for the 3rd restart of tonight's event at Las Vegas for the Breast Cancer Awareness 100 presented by Eastwood Detailing. We're still trying to get some stuff worked out in the background with the driver of the number 97 in most traditional weeks, Eddie Hagge, who is going to make an appearance on the broadcast here in just a moment, so just trying to figure some stuff out with him. But we are ready to go. Your third restart of the night is, well, doubled up, stacked up, and prepared for us. All that is left to do is take the green flag, and the Zook connection set up there in the second and third row on the outside. Christopher Hamilton teaming up with the guy who recruited him to the series in the 2-truck. Curtis Yancey, always a question mark, and we only have 37 laps to go. So here we go, getting doubled up, stacked up. Green flag goes, and we are off. Curtis Yancey there, getting a big push from the 44 truck there, right off the line. But nobody can keep up with Nick Nickerson off the lead. And the first turn goes to the 2 truck. But the Christopher Hamilton 15 entry right behind him is doing his very best to keep up. He has the best chance, I think, of anybody so far. He's like so quick on his own, but the 2 is just like dominant here in this middle portion of the race. He's balancing tire wear and just quick pace lap after lap in a way that nobody else really has been able to. So we'll keep an eye up front and see if he can make his way through. But important guy to mention, Cody Welch, back in the top 10. So all you Cody Welch fans looking to follow up last week's race, and he came back at Texas, and he's coming back at Las Vegas. You can see the 85 truck dicing all over the track. And right now it's Matt Crockett on the inside. Is he going to go 3 wide? No way. Cody Welch, just madman in the 85 truck. He is. He's going to try it. He's going to try to find a gap there. So, you know, I just have a feeling when I see guys like Cody Welch getting set up for a move, it's quality television. You know you got to go to him. And man, now he's side by side with Crockett in the 10 truck. He'll get that move done. Now going to get in the line behind the 76, who's up behind McQuiggan in the 400. Now he's going to dive to the bottom. Now this will get the move done on Bivens if he can keep the momentum up. And he can. The 85 truck, watch out. If I am Nickerson and Hamilton, I'm going to try to scoot away as fast as I can because, man, he is hard charging. But, whoa, caution comes out again. 4th of the race so far. What is this for? We're seeing, whoa, oh, okay, Christopher Ferrara's involved. Gary Wright. Let's grab one of those guys. There is the just pile up of cars. That's Gary Wright there in the 6 truck, the red and black and white entry. He's off track. Christopher Ferrara was there running a special tribute livery tonight for breast cancer awareness. He was involved somehow. Tony Hilbrand's a big name to mention. Just, I've never seen a guy like Tony Hilbrand who could be so quick, do everything he has to, and just have something that always goes wrong. It's nuts. I don't know how it happens, but man, I feel for the guys. So let's go to your Full Sending Racing Network replay and see what happened this week for Tony Hilbrand again. The poor guy, man, might become the new Brett Guzik if Cody can get the win tonight. Back to the replay. Here we go. So it's the 13 of Christopher Ferrara on the bottom. Greenwell on the top. Was he coming down? Oh, okay, that is what happened. Off of turn number 4, Christopher Ferrara. I think that was a miscommunication if I've ever seen one. Well, look at the pile up of cars. I don't know if you can see it, but you can hear it for sure. Let's go. But we're just going to go on this camera and just go back because I think it was Christopher Ferrara just trying to pit right in front of a giant gaggle of trucks. He just died there mid-corner. Like, watch the 13 truck. Watch his pace. He's sputtering. Yeah, I think he ran out of gas or something. No, something happened up here with Guzik. What happened to Brett Guzik? There is just so many elements to this wreck. Okay, so back up a little bit. We go to Brett Guzik. So what happened to... okay, this was the problem. Okay, so going to start off with John Graham in the number 96 truck here. Up to the outside of both Lakey and Hunter Henry. That was the problem. We went 3 wide to turn number 3. Guzik gets involved in the aftermath. Then Hilbrands gets tangled. Then it Wright's into it, Greenwell's into it, Hogan's into it, Caetano. Holy cow, we had a parking lot there. Paved Paradise put up a parking lot, and we certainly did. Holy cow. Okay, there was a big wreck for wreck number 4, and we always have that one big one. You know, we have a couple minor ones. I thought that first wreck was pretty decent, but wow. Yeah, we're starting to see that Texas element of, and this time referencing last week's race, not misrepresenting the track, but we're seeing that thing again, where at such high speeds here at Texas, well, there we go, it's back. High speeds here at Las Vegas, you know, the second you get involved behind a wreck, you get caught behind a wreck with these high bankings, you're just running so quick, and there's so little room to dive through at the last moment. You know, the track's trying to push you to the bottom, and that's also where it's trying to push the trucks that have already crashed. So when you're trying to get around it, you got to hope you can go to the top side, and sometimes that is easier said than done when you got 3 trucks already running side by side. So another wreck and another caution. That is 4 on the night. We got 32 laps to go. Nick Nickerson in the 2 truck, still your leader, but the 15 of Hamilton close behind, and Cody Welch moving through the field. So let's take a quick moment, something we haven't done as of yet, still keeping an eye on Eddie Hagge, but we will get that figured out Now it is time for your track preview. We didn't do it to this point in the race, and usually we would have liked to have done it by now, but unfortunately I didn't have my co-commentator Evan with me. He often does these. So again, shout out to Evan as always for doing the graphics, for doing everything he does. It's so awesome to have him working with me, even on weeks like this where he can't make the broadcast. So, well, here is your information about Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It opened in 1971. It is classified as a speedway, more specifically an intermediate, that being a track that is 1.5 miles in length. Tonight we're running 100 laps here for a total of 150 miles. So remember, in the series when we do race names, it's named after the number of laps, not the number of miles total. It's just a thing. So it's kind of what we do here. Banking is going to be about 12 to 20 degrees. So progressive banking, once again, that was the trouble that we saw last week with kind of that bouncing apron, kind of the divot that forms right before the banking evens out that we saw at Texas in corner 4, that kind of indirectly caused that last lap incident between Ricky Hart and Cody Welch. So see if that comes into play once again tonight. Last year's winner was Curtis Yancey. Actually, a fact that I didn't know until right now, but gosh, does that make sense. The 51 truck, if you've noticed, he's been quick all night. He's been a name that's been frequent in the top 5, even the top 3. He was battling for the lead there with Nick Nickerson for a little bit in that stint 2 cautions ago. And he was last season's winner there in the Xfinity Series. Let's see if he can follow it up tonight. The fastest time on iRacing was 5 whole years ago, which is going to make me say that was in an older build and with much older settings for the trucks. But that was in 29.62, so just about a half a minute is the approximate time for most laps here at Las Vegas. So if we ran green to the finish, it would be about a 52-minute race. But as we've seen, we've got a couple cautions, so we will go a little ways further. But that just kind of tells you this race could go only 15 more minutes if we go green at the end. So stay tuned. This finish could be coming fast and furious momentarily. But finally, next week we are at Phoenix for, I guess I won't spoil it. We'll talk more about it next week. But we're going to Phoenix for the second to final round of the regular season this year. And what a regular season it's been. What a season it's been in general. I've just been loving this season of the Bandit Racing League, and I really hope you guys are as well. We've had a mix of broadcasts at the start of the season with our old broadcast partner, Mitch Sullivan, then Evan came back, and I've had a couple individual broadcasts. But no matter who the broadcast team is, they've been so fun to do, and the racing product on track has just been awesome. So hopefully we've been living up to it, and hopefully all of you guys have enjoyed. And thank you again to Eastwood Detailing, I also want to mention, for tonight's Breast Cancer Awareness 100. Again, if you want to go check out more about that cause and everything going on there, and to learn more in a month of awareness, go down to the link down below, and you can hear more about Breast Cancer Month of October. Which thank you again to Eastwood Detailing, and let's get set to go. It is Nickerson, Hamilton, Yancey, Zook, and Murphy, your top 5. Green flag here with 30 laps to go at Las Vegas. And the pack is off. Nickerson once again with a good jump. The guy just does not fail. And boy, he is good at these starts. So the 2 truck is off and running there. And about a half a second clear of Yancey once again. So I'm almost worried for him, because I think it's going to be a really big run from whoever can win this battle for second between Yancey and Hamilton. And whoever gets that big slipstream might be the guy to watch for that top spot, because the 2 truck can block, but he can only block so well. There it's Cale Zook and Peter Murphy now battling for 4th. These guys have seen plenty of each other tonight. Murphy has had to deal with those blue, white, and pink trucks all night. But Yancey, last year's winner here at Las Vegas, down to the inside, trying to get the move done on Hamilton. Almost a little bit of contact there, but Yancey's able to correct it. The 51 still to the inside of the 15 truck. The 2 flip numbers, and they are just side by side all the way around. And if you're Nick Nickerson and you want to lead as many laps as possible, well, this is the way you have to do it. So I think he's comfortable with where he is right now. And if I'm these 2 guys in behind, I want to get this figured out. Set up, try to work with each other, even. Because we've seen just how quick Nick is, and nobody is finding ways to get by him at this later portion of the race. So Cale Zook might give it a try. He just got by Peter Murphy a moment ago, so the 44 truck going to try to work his way back into the podium spots, and we will continue a little ways further back. Now it's side by side between Peter Murphy and guess who? Cody Welch. The 85 truck is back in the picture. Now he's up to 5th, and he is going around Peter Murphy. This is exactly what you want to see if you're a Cody Welch fan. It's an identical copy of how his later portion of last week's race went. This time, though, we're just hoping for a little bit better luck on his part, and hoping that he can find a way to the finish under green this time, as he hasn't been able to in the last couple weeks. Up front a little ways further, it's Yancey still side by side with Hamilton, as they've been virtually all of this last 25 laps so far. So the question is, who will come out on top? And again, Nick Nickerson, I don't think is all too particularly bothered, though they are getting closer to the back bumper of that number 2 truck. So I don't know. I don't think I'd be too comfortable with him. Who is that going around in the background? Somebody has gone off. Joshua McQuiggan, who's making his debut tonight. The 400 truck has gone around. You saw him in the background there. And a very promising debut for Joshua McQuiggan will come to an end tonight at Las Vegas. Or, well, maybe not. He can keep going. He's it's having a hard time keeping the truck under him, but he is doing so well enough. So Joshua McQuiggan back up to speed. And let's go to your Full Send Racing Network replay to say what went wrong for the 400. Unfortunately, no proper replay file to go to, so we're just going to zip back a little bit. Oh my, we've put the border up on screen. There we go. So let's go back a little bit faster and see what went wrong there. So coming off of turn number 4, it would appear. Actually, kind of started in turn number 3. So here's McQuiggan running like 8th or 9th here at the time. There's Brandon Jackson there in the 99 truck. We barely talked about Action Jackson at all tonight, but it just gets below the apron, slides up into him. So I'd imagine McQuiggan not going to be too happy about that. He didn't really do anything particularly wrong there. I think Brandon was just going for the move there on the inside, might have slightly miscalculated the apex there and slid up into him. Let's get the perspective of the 99 truck there. Had a massive run. I think the 400 must have had to check up or something because of that jostling around up front between Garrett Hall and I think it is Peter Murphy. Yeah, just tapped him the tiniest bit, but good old classic iRacing took that as, well, probably much more collision than it actually was, and just like that, Joshua McQuiggan, again, a very promising debut, will come to an end. And this is the important pit stop cycle to watch. The final one of the race off pit road. Christopher Hamilton will win the final pit battle under green. So Hamilton now becomes your new effective race leader. I don't think that Michael Ramos, who sits there in 5th, pitted. I can confirm that momentarily. He did. The 27 did come down pit road. So Michael Ramos, kind of a name that's come out of nowhere. I mean, the 27 is always a guy who's quick in qualifying and has pace throughout the race at these intermediate tracks. Is tonight going to be the night? He finds himself in a very good spot late in the event. And no, he is behind Christopher Hamilton. I was about to say perhaps he's actually ahead of him, but no, he will drop back into 5th, and it's Nickerson in 6th, Cody Welch in 7th, Curtis Yancey drops a couple spots back to 8th, Kale Zook in 9th, Murphy in 10th, and it's Kevin Foster, Garrett Hall, David Lakey. There's a Zook missing, I'm noticing. Who is that? Connor Zook, still on pit road, the 55 truck. Did I miss something? When did the 55 truck get wrecked? That is the question I want answered. I must just be forgetting something that happened very recently, but what happened here? So we're going to go back to a replay. So there's the 55 truck of Connor Zook, who was the, well, not the lead Zook, but was certainly in the conversation. I don't know why it's not showing me Connor Zook's perspective of this whole situation. So here's Connor. So we lost a couple spots, but what actually went wrong? Okay, so that was the issue. I didn't even see when this happened, but let's get some perspective on this. So Connor Zook, also with Brandon Jackson just a moment before. Brandon just gets a little bit wide in the corner and kind of taps the outside of, or the inside left quarter panel of the 55 of Connor Zook. I don't think Connor particularly did anything wrong there. I think he took about as much of the corner as he could have been expected to. He just didn't really get much space. So the Zook connection will now come to an end. The 55 truck is going to have to go for a bit of a recovery drive now. The question is, does he have a quick repair remaining? Because there's some significant damage to that number 55 truck. But up to the front, it is Ricky Hart, Brandon Jackson, both guys that did not pit. Same with Alan Castle, now your top 3. And then the start of the trucks that did. It's Hamilton, Ramos, Nickerson, Welch, Yancey, Zook, and Murphy. But now it is time to talk to a driver that, well, I've been trying to figure out a way to talk to all race tonight. And it was unfortunate that he couldn't race because he's had such a great season so far. The 97, he's looked great overall so far. But Eddie Haggy now joins us in the booth. And I know, Eddie, unfortunately, you can't get on iRacing, so maybe you haven't seen a ton of the race so far, but kind of seeing the current situation here. First of all, talk about your experience with intermediates tonight and maybe how much you know about Las Vegas. What is the track like from a driver's perspective?
Yeah, Marshall, I really appreciate you having me on tonight. This has been a really entertaining race, even though I'm away from the rig. I've been keeping up. Seen a lot of just great racing. Vegas has put on quite the show. Certainly the intermediates and the trucks, a lot of times, I heard Evan say it last week, it's like a mini Talladega or Daytona with the drafting and the slipstream and the preferred lane, but that really hasn't been what we've seen tonight. We've seen a little bit of that tandem drafting with, say the Zooks, but that outside lane has been very strong, a lot stronger than it was at Texas last week. I thought with cold tires, guys it'd be tricky with the handling, and they might spin out, but we really haven't seen that. But I've noticed really the pit strategy has made a huge difference. We've seen guys like Brandon Jackson, Michael Ramos, they've really came through the field and picked up some significant position. But keep an eye on Peter Murphy in the 38. He's a little mired back there, but he's had a great race and he fires off really great on restarts. And if it comes down to a late race restart, you want to fire off well.
Very true. Thank you, Eddie, for the insight there. And you're somebody that I would absolutely trust here to go to for knowing what it takes to win a race, because you've come very close many times and you got the same pace as so many guys up here in the top 10. So we'll stay tuned with you the rest of the race along the way. But right now, green flag for the 5th restart of the night. Ricky Hart, as you just mentioned there, Eddie, a great jump off the line there, and he is pulling away. These restarts massive at these intermediates, it would seem, and surprisingly for a track that's compared to Talladega, it seems to be really hard so far to catch up to these guys who get out in front at the very beginning of these runs. Looking back a little bit, Brandon Jackson throwing a massive block on who is that back there. Brandon Jackson now up to 3rd. Where did he come out of? I forgot he was there on the outside of the front row and threw a massive block on Nickerson a moment ago. He is on old tires, and it is apparent right now. He is just getting trained by so many guys here. That's Nickerson, Yancey, Hamilton, Ramos going with him. And Eddie, you just talked about a moment ago, but Peter Murphy's back in the conversation. What a battle this is going to be to the end. Keep an eye as well on Cody Welch, who we know has been just flying through the field tonight. Kind of the comeback driver of the race, as he has been so many times. We know he's got pace. So Ricky Hart continuing to defend up front. Got a great start there, but we know he didn't pit that last time by. So oldest tires of anybody in this pack. I'm so impressed that he's been able to hold them off for even 2 laps. Now coming to 20 laps to go this time by. Not a ton of race left, but a ton of racing left. So let's watch this battle to the finish. I have a feeling it's about to be the 4th great finish in about 5 weeks. And the storyline is there. Hart leads, though now it might be Nickerson getting around him on the outside of turn number 2. But I was going to say Hart leading at the end of the race with Welch in the conversation. That could get interesting. I saw Brandon Jackson get kind of slipped out of line there. Somebody put the bumper to the back end of the number 99, and now he's out of the groove in the outside wall. So Brandon Jackson, who's kind of had the elbows out all race tonight, now going to kind of get put in his place a little bit by somebody else. Again, not suggesting it was his fault, but somebody just decided that it was enough of that, so they gave him a bit of a shove, and through 3 and 4, he now finds himself in the outside wall all the way back there in 19th. Back up to the front, though, it is Nickerson now leading from Ricky Hart, who still sits in 2nd, so he's finding a way to conserve his spot there and maintain himself in the top 3. Peter Murphy there. We're going to see Jason Greenwell is off the track there on the bottom, though I think he may have just been heading to the apron to let some guys by on the top side. Garrett Hall is back in the conversation, sitting there in 5th. The 26 truck, who makes his return tonight, got in a wreck earlier. I kind of wrote him out of the equation, but he just passed Christopher Hamilton for 5th. So anybody, I think, essentially in the top, 15 could still win this thing, and Curtis Yancey goes up to block. So clearly he knows that he's a bit of a threat there and that he needs to get himself in front of that 26 truck. Cody Welch still in the equation. Plenty of racing left to go, but only 17 laps here at Las Vegas.
And keep an eye on Chris Hamilton up there. He overcame a speeding penalty early in the race and has been consistently in the top 5 the last 10 or 20 laps. He's had a lot of great runs, and maybe today's his day.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's had a great season so far, and in any race he's appeared at, he's just been absolutely incredible, like a consistent top 3 kind of guy like a Nickerson or a Foster. Tonight could be that first win for him. You're right. He's been up there this entire race. But right now, he's got to get that outside line to get going. We're starting to see, again, that Talladega comparison you made, Eddie, coming back into play. And, with only 16 laps to go, we'll get your perspective. Where do you want to be in this kind of 2-line tandem this late in the race as the tires kind of fade off?
I think I like the outside lane. I think guys, I know Curtis Yancey comes to mind, guys that, really fire off strong, but sometimes they're aggressive setups, whether that's out of qualifying trim. They get in the race and 20 or 25 laps in, you see them, they're swatting at flies in there, they're really struggling. It's good to be on the outside lane. You can really pin that inside truck down and make the pass. I think anybody in this top 8 or 10, the chances of a late restart are pretty high. If you're in the top 10, I think you have a good shot.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We've seen so many green-white checkers here this season so far, including, I think, 3 in the last 4 races. So do not count that possibility out, and then that'll be a question of, where are you sitting in the field at that point? Want to be on the front row. Where do you not want to be is the outside wall, and Ricky Hart just got shoved up there a little bit by Peter Murphy. Now he is off the pace, so little movements like that, like at a Talladega-style thing, it doesn't need to be a crash, but as long as you unsettle the entire field, that just kind of shuffles the order around completely, and Peter Murphy, who just a moment ago was comfortably up there in the 2nd spot, now finds himself a little ways back as well. But Ricky Hart getting shuffled out of the equation. Now back to 6th, sitting right in front of the leading Zook, Cale Zook, in the 7th spot. But Cody Welch, the push continues up to 2nd, down the inside of the 15 of Hamilton, and he is just doing it again. I know, Hetty, you've raced with us for a couple seasons. You would have raced him last year and this season. What is it Cody Welch you think is doing overall that he's just so good at making these moves at any track on the schedule?
Cody, man, he's a heck of a driver. He's fun to race around. He's one of those guys, you know, when he gets up behind you and you just kind of have the feeling he's going to pass you. You know, it's hard to think like that. But today has been particularly impressive in my opinion. I was watching him early in the race. He was kind of stuck in the middle of the pack, to be honest. I don't know if he was conserving his stuff or what, but he's really made a charge up to the end, and he sort of knows how to bide his time. You know, when to make a pass, when to push. I think that's a really valuable skill to have, especially, you know, when the tires wear.
Well, if you want a good summary of Season 8 of the Bandit Racing League, this was kind of it. Nickerson and Welch battling 1 and 2. We saw it in like 10 races. They finished 1-2 so many times. We saw Welch second in the championship, runner-up to Nickerson, who was the winner in Season 8. So these are two guys who know each other very well. And Christopher Hamilton, who's proven himself as an elite driver on very few appearances, sitting there in 3rd. Peter Murphy and Curtis Yancey, if they can work their way into this podium and hold off any one of these guys, it is going to be a massive statement for their overall abilities. And Peter Murphy has just looked so good, but he's been turned. Curtis Yancey gets in the quarter panel of the 38. Keep it off the wall. No, ends it back nose. Oh my goodness, the back bumper of that 38 truck just clipped the wall there on the inside. And Peter Murphy's stellar night overall comes to an end in heartbreaking fashion off the front nose of the 51.
All hope is not lost, though. If he can have his quick repair and get new tires, it's questionable whether or not everybody's going to pit. If we restart with 7 or 8 to go, he could still make up a lot of position.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Yeah, we've seen like guys like Garrett Hall could go. Actually, I think he was an entire lap down in the case of Garrett Hall. Still worked his way back to the top 10 for a period there. So you're right. We shouldn't count him out at all. And with how many drivers that are laps down or out of the race, he's going to be comfortably in the top 20 when he comes back with a quick repair. So you're right. Peter's proven tonight that we shouldn't count him out no matter where he's sitting. But man, if you were the 38, that's one that's going to get on your nerves a little bit. So let's go to the replay and get the exact details of that wreck there between the 51 and the 38. Yeah, in the words of my not currently available commentator, or my usual co-commentator, Evan Wall, he turned him. That was he turned him if I have ever seen it. It's, again, not going to suggest it was intentional because I never want to, but you know that was a weird moment. It was just two guys, you know, racing hard for position, but you never really see somebody hook somebody that late on the straightaway, you know, or that late off the corner back onto the straightaway. Kind of did the crossover. It was close. It was close because Peter didn't come quite as far up to the wall as he probably would have expected if you're Yancey. I think from Peter's perspective, it was just because he was trying to get set up for maybe a move on the guys up ahead. So he wanted to be down there on the bottom, both to block the 51 and to get set up for a move. So kind of a miscalculation. It looked worse from that alternate camera angle. But man, Peter Murphy still in 14th actually. So that's a great spot. I think you hit the nail right on the head, Eddie. There about he's still in the conversation. He's still in contention there and. The truck looks great. I don't know if he's taken a quick repair already or what, but that 38 truck in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month is looking good tonight. So you're right. I'm going to keep my optimism hat on here and wish the best to the driver of the number 38 for the rest of his race because he's had such a great season so far. He's so good in qualifying, and tonight he's had that race pace all the way through that he hasn't in a few other races where he was so quick in qualifying. So best of luck for him to work his way back through. But I want to ask you, Eddie, because it's so awesome to have you here on the broadcast and subbing in tonight for the not currently available Evan Wall. So I want to ask you, as we always do, kind of a fun thing we do every week, knowing what you know about the series, what you know about the track, guys that are good at certain disciplines. If you had to put your money on any driver in the field right now, knowing what you know, who's your pick to win tonight at Las Vegas?
Well, thank you, Marshall. Man, we got a pretty strong top 5. It's hard to say. Cale is one of those guys. I feel like he always finds his way into the top 8 with 10 to go. You know, no matter where he is, it's always hard to bet against Nick. I noticed earlier in the race, Nick wasn't quite as aggressive side drafting on the outside. I think he wanted to kind of preserve this car, you know, not get in any trouble. You know, I think Cody's going to get redemption. I think after last week, you know, he showed some serious strength. He's been on quite a roll, and it looks like he's still got a bit of tire left. I think if it stays green, it goes to Cody.
Yeah, something about just the way this race has gone overall, and it's the storyline. Like, maybe it's what I want, as a broadcaster. You love a good storyline. You love a tale going over the course of 2 weeks, and a redemption story for a guy that has come so close all season and just has yet to find his way over the top in Season 9. He had 3 wins in Season 8, has yet to score his first in Season 9. But, yeah, that was where my bet was going to go, too. I think, Nick is just so good here at the end of these races. Like, he doesn't really fade under pressure. He never has, save for one foot cramp at Road America last year. Like, the guy just does not falter, and it's why he was a champion last year, and it's why he's leading the championship this year. But I think, as we saw last week, Eddie, at our race at Texas, just because you're leading on the last lap, just because you're quick, just because you can defend well, if somebody's willing to get the bumper out and somebody's willing to get aggressive with you, maybe give you a bit of a tap, not necessarily spin you, but just kind of unsettle you a little bit, there's nothing you can do as a driver. What do you do in that situation where you're the guy up ahead and you got somebody right behind you on the last lap, and they'll do anything to get the win?
Well, Marshall, man, you hold the wheel straight and you say a bit of a prayer. I think it's a tricky situation. It's funny at Texas. I had a bit of a tough restart. I had a guy on old tires in front of me, and I was like 7th with 2 to go. So we weren't quite with that lead pack, but everybody wrecked, and some of us ended up picking up some spots. So sometimes if you're not in for the win, sometimes it's not the end of the world being a little bit farther back from that pack. It's we got guys racing hard and in tight distance. So there's a good chance, none of the top 5 wins a race, from the last lap. It's just the racing's been crazy this year, and I think you've alluded to that a few times today. Yeah,
this is the best season, I think. I've only been here 2 years, but as far as what I've heard from drivers and stuff like that, from co-commentators, some guys who have been here a very long time, this last couple race stint has been amazing. Like, this is what we want in the Bandit Racing League. I think it's a sign of things to come. I think the schedule going forward is going to continue to be great. And what a talented field we have. The pace truck about to take the left-hander onto pit road, and we will go to our 6th restart of the race. 6 laps to go. Will we get another caution? We talked about earlier, we've seen so many green-white checkers this year, so don't count another one out. But green flag, Nick Nickerson leads the field to green yet again, with Cody Welch in the catbird seat spot, with Hamilton, Yancey, Foster, Zook. So many guys left to battle it out. And we got Hunter Henry as well, kind of a dark horse sitting there in 7th, but don't count out the very quick number 94 truck from potentially taking away the win. Nickerson off of turn number 2. A great run, but Cody Welch starting to gather up speed, and there is the caution right off the bat. Lakey's around. The 84 truck getting into somebody else. Hilbrands manages to just dodge him. I think Bill Harkins came close to making contact if he didn't. And there you go. Just like that, Eddie. That was momentary, but caution number 7 just like that, and we always say cautions breed cautions, and I bet you've probably seen that from your perspective all season.
Well, they do, and there's a noticeable sort of uptick in intensity late in the race. Those breaks you cut people with 40 to go, that extra 6 inches of room, all that goes out the wayside. People see the trophy, they see the opportunity to get on the broadcast at the podium, and they want to run. It's a little bit tricky here. We got a couple guys involved in this wreck. We got David, Bill. Looks like Matt Crockett. A couple of these guys used their faster pair already. So you got to wonder what this does for playoff implications, even so late in the race.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Playoffs are going to be such a crucial thing to keep in mind at this point in the season, because only a couple more rounds left. Just trying to figure out who I need to focus on here. Bill Harkins, I think, is going to be the primary player involved in this, alongside one of the Zooks there. I think that's the 55 at Connor, who, after such a good early race, you see already damage to the right side of that truck, and there's a little bit more for you. Gets turned off the front nose of the 11 of Bill Harkins. David Lakey getting involved in the end. Actually impressed that all 3 trucks managed to keep going straight there after that repeated contact there. So one more time, let's maybe go to the chopper camera there just to get a better perspective on the contact, because you never know off at first glance what actually inspires this. That time, it was 3 guys going very close 3 wide, including Ricky Hart, who's kind of finding his way back through the field after an alternative pit strategy call that I don't think played out the way that he hoped. So let's go to his perspective in our final view of our 7th caution. But yeah, these 3 wides tonight, sometimes they're working and sometimes they're just going completely wrong. And from your perspective, Eddie, as a driver, what makes 1 3 wide work on any given lap versus one that results in a wreck like this?
A lot of it depends on momentum. There I think we saw Ricky Those were three, as you said, very tight cars. Not even, I mean, the third car wasn't even above the second groove. I think Ricky tried to cut some space and might have hit the apron a little bit. And so he got tight and got into Bill, and Bill didn't have a lot of room. A lot of it goes with the momentum. You think like that super speedway kind of mentality I mentioned. It's just a lot of times you can make a pass on the outside in the turns, pinning people that are tight or struggling with handling. But yeah, a lot of times if you're 3 wide in the middle or the inside, I think that's a very vulnerable position. It's scary as a driver, to say the least.
Oh, I can certainly imagine. Yeah, at least if you're on the bottom there, you know that the worst that's going to happen is you go up and wreck the 2 guys up top. But if you're the guy on top, you all you got left to you is the wall. So, well, here we go. It's going to be a green-white checker. We called it a moment ago, and we're gonna take one more attempt. So we have this attempt at a green-white checkered, and then we have one more. And yeah, I can confirm that the lights on the pace truck are still off. So we're going to use one here. We'll have one left in the bank. But remember, if we get a caution after the white flag comes out, that's race over. We just go to the green, we finish it off. We don't really do iRacing cautions after the white. Like in real life NASCAR, if the white flag comes out, you can still throw a caution and it'll still end the race, but you just don't get a retry. Whereas here in the Bandit Racing League and here on iRacing, I don't think I've ever seen a caution come out after the white. So maybe just not a thing that can happen, but if it doesn't tonight, then we'll go to the finish. But if we get a caution on the lap, well, I guess essentially, like at this point it'll be 102 with 2 laps to go. Then we'll take one more attempt at a green-white checkered, and after that, any caution would end the race. So Nick Nickerson in the top spot, Cody Welch in second, Hamilton, Yancey, Foster, and Cale Zook your top 6. Then it's Ramos, Hunter Henry, Joshua McQuiggan, I should say. The Canadian making his debut tonight in the 400 truck. I'm sure that number will be different in the next couple weeks, but he is sitting there in 9th with Mark Allen Bivens in that new 76 truck, down 7 spots from 3rd tonight, but he's still lived up to that qualifying position overall, sitting there in 10th. So McQuiggan recovering after an earlier wreck, and his debut tonight will continue to be a success. The lights in the pace truck are now off, and before we go to what is surely going to be a very fun, very chaotic battle to the finish here for the second straight week at an intermediate track, I just want to take another moment to give a shout out to tonight's sponsor, Eastwood Detailing, and as well as Peter Murphy there, and the driver of the number 38 truck. Hopefully he can recover to at least a good point spot tonight, because he's the playoff cutoff driver and he had a great run tonight. So best of luck to Peter for the remainder of tonight's race, and thank you to Eastwood Detailing as always for doing us the pleasure of sponsoring our event here at Las Vegas. And as again, breast cancer awareness for the entire month of October. Thank you to every driver who ran a pink livery tonight. Again, if you want to learn more, you know where to go. Go to the chat as always. Go to the description, I should say, and go check out the YouTube description. I always do a little write-up there before each race, and I don't know if people read them, but they're fun to do. And down there is where you'll check out the link to the Bandit website. Go check out our merch, and a reminder, we have new merch. But you'll also get the links to any and all of our weekly sponsors, as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So go check it out. It's a great cause. Learn more. And now is the time to become more aware and in turn donate if you'd like. But I know it's a rough time overall in the world, and I know many of you have been kind enough to donate these last couple weeks to any of our causes and any of our charities we've partnered with. So here we go. Let's do this, Eddie. 2 laps to go. Again, if we get a caution before the white flag lap, we will go to another green-white checkered. But green flag, Nickerson, Welch, Hamilton's now going to get a better job. I think Hamilton will get to the inside of Welch, so Nickerson's life gets a little bit easier. He's got a friend in the background, the 15 truck down to the inside. So it's the 2, the 15, Welch on the bit of the back on the back burner a little bit. Now he's in 3rd. Kevin Foster's going to try to go up the inside. Then it's Yancey in 5th. This battle will continue. Who is going to make that big move? Who is going to go just guns out? And there is another caution, 8th caution of the day. Let's calm down for a minute. Cody Welch will get another chance there after losing that spot on the beginning of the penultimate lap. And caution number 8 comes out, so that is our final attempt. If we get another caution on the next restart before the white flag comes out, the race will end on that moment. But now it's time to find out what brought that out, and I'm seeing Alan Castle potentially. No. I'm not seeing anybody on track that has particularly gotten in a wreck, so it'll be a bit of the classic Full Send Racing Network investigating we do in some of these weeks when we have a wreck that we can't really explain.
Well, something I want to say before they take off again, the biggest thing about Nick there is his ability to just take off on the restarts. In the Bandit Racing League, I don't know if our viewers know this, aside from the start of the race, the leaders don't have to wait to the green flag to go. So once the pace truck is off the track, they can hammer down. And you saw Cody sort of spun his tires on the outside, and he didn't get the greatest jump. When Nick can really control the field like that, or any of the leaders, it makes them really tough to catch in a span of 2 laps.
Yeah, let's get a replay on that restart for a minute while we got a sec, because yeah, just the massive headway that the two truck and Nick Nickerson made was nuts. And actually talk about it, a little bit, Eddie. Coming down to restarts, is it all just from a perspective of the trucks? Because I personally, in the trucks, I don't know nearly as much as I do about the open wheel racing scene in terms of restarts. And from your perspective, what are the most important elements of a restart? Is it just reaction time, or what can you do as a driver to ensure you're keeping up with the drivers around you?
Yeah, so a lot of it is really, in my opinion, reaction time. It's very difficult in the outside line. In the inside line, you see the first 2 or 3 trucks going, and then you want to go. It's trickier back in the pack because there's a bit of a checkup sometimes. Most of these guys are going to start in second gear. In first gear, you'd spin out and wreck the field probably. But the thing is, you actually, to time it right, you kind of have to hit the gas before the guy in front of you goes. Because there's a bit of a sort of a delay in the car taking off. And that's the trickiest thing, because if you guess it wrong, you could run in the back of the guy ahead of you and create damage of your own. It's an art, really. But certainly when you're the leader, it makes it quite a bit easier. And you get a much larger jump on these worn tires.
Yeah, that is the other question, too, is I think various tire wear, not so much in the top 5, but a little ways further back, like guys like Ricky Hart moving their way through the field. Surely that's going to play a ton of part in terms of just how much grip you have coming back on the power, and I'm sure that kind of variance would cause some of these massive checkups we see from time to time, though we have been pretty good at preventing those lately in this series. It's been a far cry from the old days last season at Auto Club, where I think the race I was calling, we had a checkup that checked out about 25 cars, so it's good to see we've come a long way since then. And let's see, are the lights on the pace truck off? They are not, so we got 2 more laps to go, and we'll take a moment as well, because now we've reached the final caution of the day. Eddie, let's just talk to you a little bit, because you are a driver in the series. You're a very successful driver in the series. That 97 truck has found itself in some great spots overall this season. So I just want to check my graphic here. We won't put it on screen, but we'll stay with Nick Nickerson. But I just want to see on the championship graphic overall, you are comfortably above the cut line. You are currently 8th in points of the drivers who have yet to score a win this season. So you're comfortably in the playoffs. And I don't want to jinx you, but when you come back in the truck next week, I'm sure you're going to try to put it in the playoffs. And once you get there, what are you thinking of the playoffs? That first round, or the tracks in there you think you're pretty confident at? And what would you say statistically, from your perspective, are your chances of making round 2?
I like my chances. I hope I make it in. I think I was 44 points above the cut line heading into today. I appreciate the kind words. I knew I'd be missing this race, so I kind of had to look at it like a 1 race cushion. It's probably about a 30-point loss, missing a race with the provisional. I like Phoenix. I had a really good run there in the Xfinity Series last year, under pressure to make the playoffs similarly. And then Auto Club, I had a lot of fun at Michigan, very similar to a super speedway race, which I tend to like. So I think that'll be a very exciting race and quite the cutoff race for this league. And as far as the playoffs, New Hampshire's a tough track, man. I don't know. But I think if I can have a decent run at Watkins Glen and then figure it out at Dover and Pocono, the way that the points reset with the chase, I think I'd have a good shot. But, man, we got a lot of good drivers. It's no easy task around here.
No, certainly not. The parity this season is just off the charts. I am so pumped for the playoffs. So we'll be putting together plenty of stuff there to really hype that up for the start of the playoffs. But very quickly, that final round there, Talladega and Charlotte, the only 2 tracks in that final round. As far as determining a champion in the series, do you think those are 2 good tracks to do it at? And what do you think Charlotte will be like as the finale this season?
Man, it's funny you ask. I actually ran a truck race at Charlotte last night, so I know the track pretty well. Talladega, man, it's obviously crazy. People say it's luck, but there's certainly the same couple guys, even in this series, that know what they're doing and find themselves at the front. Charlotte's an interesting track. It isn't an intermediate, but unlike some of these tracks, it's not one that you're able to really hold it wide open. It's a very unique track. Going to require a lot of on and off the throttle time, and I think that's going to play into the driver's hands more and separate the field. I think that'll be interesting.
Most certainly will be. But now it is time to solve tonight's race. Nick Nickerson, huge jump once again for the final time tonight. Foster and the 15 truck, 2 good friends of Nickerson, battling it out side by side for second with 2 laps to go. Can Welch get through this entire group of trucks and find his way to his first win of the season? He's down to the inside. He's got Foster beat down off the exit of turn number 2. Now it's Hamilton who's blocking him up. Is he going to push the 15 truck? No. Going to go right to the inside to try to get the move done. Gets to the inside of him side by side coming through turn number 3. Still no caution. If we get to the line, we got 1 to go. White flag this time by here at Las Vegas. It'll be another great finish. Last season's champion versus last season's runner-up for the win. 4 corners to go, 1.5 miles here at Vegas. Right on the back bumper of Nick Nickerson is Cody Welch. It could be an exact mirror copy of last week. Is he willing to put the bumper to him? What is he willing to do for the win? Welch, he's going to try it this time. Nickerson trying to block wherever he possibly can. Keep an eye on Kevin Foster to work his way through. Off of turn number 4. He's got the momentum. He's got the run. This might be over. Welch going to try one last move to the line. It won't work. Nick Nickerson, win number 4. Just racking him up at this point in the season. Win number 4 at Vegas. The 2 truck holds off Welch by a hair. And the unfortunate streak for Welch continues of just great races coming so close, but not quite getting there. Though, what a drive from Cody Welch. Congratulations to the 85 truck for everything he did tonight. It was well earned. And Kevin Foster there at the end, we were so focused on that battle for the lead, we kind of missed that battle for third by 1/1000th of a second. Kevin Foster and Hamilton were separated. We will go to the replay as we always do here on the broadcast, and we'll go get you that final shot of that finish. But Nick Nickerson, man, does it again. Eddie, you've raced here for 2 seasons now. He was last season's champion. He's got 4 wins on this campaign. What is it this guy is doing that's getting him all these wins?
Man, I've been thinking about that for a while now. He just a skilled driver. Lots of skilled drivers. Nick just ran a really good race. He knows when to put himself in a sticky situation and when to take it easy. Just great respect to Cody there on that last lap. That just shows you the kind of racer he is. Showed a lot of respect to Nick and raced him clean to the finish, even if it cost him the win. What a good finish. I mean, Kevin Foster coming through the field a little bit at the end. Chris Hamilton, a great run. And Cale Zook, man, guy that doesn't get talked about a ton, but what a great finish for that team.
Oh yeah, we got a chance to talk about him tonight. He was an active part in tonight's race. But yeah, you're right. Definitely a guy that went under the radar for a long time, and he had a great run for himself tonight. Cody Welch, though, gets on the podium. We'll do some burnouts. Well-deserved. The Flushing, Michigan native. I'll take that graphic off because, unfortunately, the race winner Las Vegas title only goes to one man, and that man is Nick Nickerson. He's happy. Look at him in the camera. I mean, he's got 4 wins in the season, but Nick always he's so happy to do it. I know the work he puts into the series is plentiful, and he's got a great rival that I know he respects a ton in Cody Welch, and he's got his GFR Racing teammate there and Kevin Foster in third. So Christopher Hamilton I want to give a shout out to as well. Came so close there on that last lap, and just what a fight to the finish. So they're going to line up. They're going to do the 3-wide formation they did last week, and I'm really liking this in the broadcast. So thank you guys for orchestrating stuff like this. But there you go. Your final result here at Las Vegas for the Breast Awareness 100, presented by Eastwood Detailing. So with that, it is about time to get to your interviews. We're always doing them pretty quick at this stage of the season. So we're going to get off to the interviews. So unfortunately, I think, Eddie, we're going to have to head off and do our own thing. But it's been so awesome to have you here tonight, man. Kind of serving as a co-commentator there for me by the end. And it was great to get your perspective because you're a driver I respect a ton. I've seen your talent all season. And I'm looking forward to talking to you in the broadcast booth one of these days. So maybe in your quest for the playoffs, you're charged to the postseason. Maybe we'll see you in the broadcast booth in a couple weeks.
Thanks so much for having me, Marshall. It's a great league. Thanks to Bill and everybody. And you do a great broadcast. It's a pleasure to watch, and we'll see you around soon.
See you around. Thank you so much, Eddie. And with that, it is time to get off to the interview portion of the evening. We're just going to pull our graphics down, get all set to go. And again, if you don't know, if you haven't been here the last couple weeks, we are doing the post-race results, the full final race results after the interviews nowadays. So it'll be a little bit, but I promise you before too long, you will have all the details for tonight's final results at Las Vegas. But now it's time for your interview with your race winner, Nick Nickerson. Let's pull him in. I don't know how this man does it. Does it for the 4th week in a row. Holds off some great talents. And let's get him in the broadcast booth. Hey, Nick, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Got you, man. How's it going?
It is going great. You're back. You're back, Nick. You did it again.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I will. We had Eddie Haggy in the booth here by the end here, and neither him or I will ever understand how this happened so many times. Now, early in the season, I championed this as the best season of parity I've seen, maybe in a series I've ever covered. Like, we had so many winners, like 7 winners in the first 7 races. We thought, is this the year? Is this the year we have like a 4-way title battle to the finish? Everybody's on an even playing field. And then our defending champion wins 4 races in like 5 events. Like, what is it, Nick? Like, you were so great tonight overall at Vegas. So first of all, we'll start with that. You just kind of seem to be the only guy who could run consistently up front, who was conserving tires and able to defend. And Eddie kind of pointed out you were sitting there on the high line, kind of side drafting instead of blocking the inside early in the race. So what was your approach to defense tonight, and how were you able to balance that with your tire conservation?
Yeah, man. That obviously the first thing, we were trying to save tires because we were gonna double stint. I accidentally ended up taking just right side tires on my first pit stop, so then that kind of changed everything. And then like, oh, looks like I'm getting tires at the 50 and 75 mark, and roughly wherever like the best time to pit on that particular time frame. So it just kind of worked into my favor. I mean, I wouldn't say that I was particularly faster than anybody, because it's hard to get away in such a good draft. But if I was on the bottom line, I knew how to. I found like this line that it's kind of like hitting the apron a little bit, that kind of helps turn the car. And man, I just wasn't using like any steering wheel at all. It was just like hitting that bump and just like kind of correcting a little bit. So I was barely using any tire pretty much the whole time I was on the bottom. And it worked. I mean, I was hoping for those last cautions on the bottom, so we weren't stacking all up like crazy. Yeah, man, walked away with my 4th win.
You did 4th of the season.
Yeah.
Only I think 3 guys have multiple wins, and you're the only one to have more than 2. So it's just been your season again so far, man. And I mean, tonight, that final lap, thinking about the big picture, knowing that the 85 truck just got by 2 extremely talented drivers, Christopher Hamilton, Kevin Foster, knowing what he went through last week, what was going through your head as a driver? I know you trust his ability. I know you guys have a lot of respect for each other. But when you're in that situation, did any part of you think you were going to be looking up at the lights coming off turn number 4?
Not necessarily. Yeah, I looked in there. I looked in the mirror, like, I don't know, coming out of 1 and 2, and like he looked like a freight train coming down the bottom. Like it was kind of scary, to be honest. And so what I do in a position like that is, I don't want to be up on the wall and then like slam the door closed on him going into 3 and 4. So I made sure I was like that he knows that I was going to take the inside, and his only opportunity was to try to drive on the outside. Basically using, I guess, car body language to let him know that like, hey, I'm taking the inside. You're not going to get it from me. So we don't potentially collide, and that's how it worked out. And I just stuck it to the bottom all the way. And he's probably a couple feet away from getting it, but that's just kind of how you have to play the strategy. Because, if you ride up on the wall and then you slam the door closed at the last second, then your guys are going to crash and none of you guys are going to win. So that's just kind of how I play the game.
Right. I think he kind of shares that same sentiment. And a massive respect to both of you guys tonight for how close we were running that entire last 2 laps, and everything was clean. Like Christopher kept it clean, Kevin kept it clean. There's just sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chris, he did a phenomenal job too. He was one that I was kind of worried about towards the end there, but I got to say sorry to Cody's family. I know they hate my guts, but Cody did such an outstanding job, man. It's really put the fear of God in me in that last lap. I'll say that.
Hey, he's a scary driver, man. I think even though he hasn't had a win yet this season, if I were in the series, if I were one of the top guys, I would be just as scared of him as literally anybody. Because man, that guy, he comes back every week, but man, does he look quick there at the end. But
sorry, I want to say he's doing the same thing he did last season, where like the first half he really wasn't like in the spotlight a lot, but then like the second half starts and he's just like consistently there every week. I think that's what's gonna happen. Like he just does like this thing where he kind of like builds himself up for the second half, and then now he's gonna be like a factor every single race. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because he did the same thing last season. I don't think Evan and I talked about him nearly enough early last year. He got some wins, I think, right before the end of the regular season, but there into the playoffs, he was the most clutch guy of anybody there. Even, I mean, not to call you out, but even the final race, he was objectively more clutch there. He did what he had to do, and he had that. He had some sort of thing that went wrong. So even by the end there, it was just your consistency was what was setting you apart, and his was just being good in the clutch moments whenever he could. But if you keep extending this points lead, it's not going to matter. So from the broadcast perspective, let's reel it back in. Let's keep it close. But no, I respect the way you drive so much, man. You balance out being fair, being a safe driver, being, long-term, very patient, but also just so darn quick. So doing it again. And I just want to ask, over the course of the season, now the fourth win you've taken away, and it's been such a tough year, so many guys being so quick. What have you learned over the course of the season in the truck since the last time you did a truck season in the Bandit Racing League? And what are the most valuable lessons you've learned from the regular season that you'll take with you into the playoffs?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint. I mean, it's kind of still like the same thing as in my mind, that it's not always about winning a race. It's just finishing good every single race. That's what's going to win the championship again this year. Wins are nice and they give you, but the difference between first place and second place is 1 point. So do I want to crash trying to win a race and then end up 17th? And that's what will kill the championship run. So I just need to remember that going in here, that I don't need to win every single race, and I don't need to try to win every single race. I just got to finish better than certain people like Cody. That's going to be my race going into this championship, is beating those who I think are going to be a problem towards the end of the season. And that's kind of what I learned last year too, is, I'm not racing everybody. I'm racing Cody, because me and him are in the points battle right now. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, the cars kind of drive the same. I haven't really learned anything new as far as like techniques of driving. I see him still make the same mistakes on strategy and whatnot, but is what it is, man. Yeah.
If you're quick enough to make up for them, those issues don't matter. We've seen that with a bunch of guys who can sometimes be strategically a little bit inept, but they're darn quick to make up for. I wouldn't put you in that category though. Your strategy is usually about as good as anybody's. But well, you've done this many a time, so I'll give you your chance to get your shout-outs here in a sec. But also, if you want to kind of wrap this in somehow, I know I asked you earlier this season in win number 3, which was like so long ago, but it was like 2 weeks. But I'll give you the opportunity. So if you want to mention, instead of the driver you're most worried about, maybe quickly a driver you find very underrated in the series, you wish we would talk about more for how good they are, and then maybe wrap that into your, what to do, final thoughts. If you want to talk about a sponsor, friends and family, the deal.
Man, let me pull up some results here so I can get, because I want to make sure they're well known. Yeah, it's hard to say. I actually have to give a shout out to Mark Allen and Steve Ulrich for securing that second row. That was pretty awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
They did a good job on qualifying today. But man, as far as somebody that doesn't get the spotlight, I feel like you guys cover everybody pretty well. Maybe Ricky. I don't know, how often do you talk about Ricky?
Yeah, a fair amount. He's somebody that it kind of became he was the Brett Guzik memorial. When will this guy get a win driver for a bit there? Because he was always so quick, but now he's got his win. Yeah. He's got 2, so he's coming back into the spotlight a little bit.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I have to think about that one. It's hard to say. I don't know, we'll just pick one random person here. How about Mike Ramos, man?
Yeah.
He has had a couple dang good runs there. I think it was like in Milwaukee, like on one of the final restarts, he was up there in 5th. I want to say last week he was up there too, towards the end of the race. He didn't get to capitalize on the good run, but he was able to make his way up and kind of hang with the top 5 or whatever. That was pretty awesome to see. I feel like he's getting a lot better on his drives. Yeah, I think that's all I can really think about right now. And then, so got to thank everybody that participates in this league, man. It's growing little by little. Feel like the racing's getting better. Maybe it's just we're getting on better tracks now. But it's I don't know. It's feeling like it's getting better. We'll say that. And got to thank the guys at Big Red for sponsoring GFR Racing, man. And TechNet, Perfect Shine Auto Spa. let's see, Sueño de Atzo. I know that's kind of Kevin's thing. And what is it? I think it's like Moo Makes Milk. I don't know. It's Kevin's daughter's company. She has a little bit of a sponsorship on our team. And I got to thank you and Evan, man, for your broadcast. You guys do an awesome job.
Awesome. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. Even if we don't have Evan with me tonight, we had Eddie Haggy come in. So I had a ton of fun.
Eddie?
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Eddie.
Oh yeah, he was awesome. He was very complimentary as well. So yeah, no, the racing's been incredible. This is the most I've been enjoying the Bandit Racing League in history. So I've had a great season so far, and you're back to your old ways. So congratulations, Nick. Sorry to put you on the spot there with the it was a very tough question, but I just find it interesting always to hear from the best guy in the series, who's somebody they are taking notice of. So I'm sure Michael will appreciate that. But also just a quick thing before I head off. I'm trying to make this rivalry a thing, man. But you guys aren't hitting each other enough for it. But Ashley Molito did call you out in the chat. She said next week she's gonna do whatever she can to put an end to the dominance. So Phoenix, man, your home track, gonna have some competition. So I wish you the best of luck, sir.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one, and pretty good at that track. So we'll see. All comes down to the strategy.
We will indeed. So you can test your strategy and your abilities, because I know Ashley has both. But there you go, Nick. Congratulations again, 4th of the season. We'll see you next week, man. Have a great week, and we'll see you at your home track.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
There you go, your first interview of the night with race winner Nick Nickerson, as he's done many a time. 4th of the season. Just what a guy. What do you say? What do you say at this point that we haven't said about Nick Nickerson? Like, seriously, if you guys have suggestions, please tell me, because the guy's just so good. Like, in a season of so much parity, the fact that he's still able to come in week in, week out and just be unfazed by anything. You know, the guy just does not ever really make major mistakes. He's just always quick. He's always got good pace. So, wow. What do you say? That legitimately, if you guys got any ideas, any questions for next time, maybe next time Nick comes in the broadcast booth, we'll take viewer questions, because man, it is proven tough these days to find a flaw in his strategy. But well, now for your second interview of the night, somebody I'm really excited to talk to, and overall, I know it was heartbreakingly close, but I have so much respect for this guy for how he finished off tonight. Mr. Cody Welch. We'll pull him in the broadcast booth in just a moment. There we go. We are set to go. So we'll pull him in the broadcast booth. Your second place finisher tonight, Mr. Cody Welch. Hey, Cody, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Marshall.
Awesome. Welcome in, Cody. First of all, just what a race from you. Again, like, you've had such a good season overall. And again, the fact that it unfortunately hasn't quite been reciprocated with a win sucks. But man, you drove your heart out tonight. Just in general, these intermediates seem to be working for you. What is it you're liking about them so much? And how are you doing these great comeback drives like you did last week and you did again tonight?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know what it is. I really, really wanted to win this one. I feel like I had a chance there. But I don't know, that this race, I don't know, started 16th and have a really good qualifying run. I think lap 3, Brandon got up in front of me, slid up the racetrack, and took my grill out, knocked the toe out of my truck. And I didn't want to use my fast repair just because, you know, this was a pack racing type track. Everyone's wide open. So I figured I'd get in more trouble throughout the race. So I was running on, you know, a 90% truck until about lap 60. And I finally decided to use a fast repair and a little bit of pit strategy to get some track position made up towards the end. And somehow during one of them last long green flag stints, I worked my way up into second behind Nick, and caution after caution, second green white checkered. I felt like I had a run on him coming to the checkered flag, but he blocked it so good. He came down, he scrubbed a little speed off. I was able to get on the outside of him and kind of drag race into the finish there. But I was trying to enter high, come in low, and get up underneath of him, but he had just enough speed. I had to go back up on the outside, but really wish I could have won this one. But you know, we'll take second, we'll take the points, and head into next week.
Well, I got to say, you've got one of the probably the biggest showing I've ever seen in my time in this series. You got so many people in the background, even people I don't think are your family, that are cheering for you, and it's just because you've been such a good driver for such a long time, man. And you make these so much fun to watch. And there at the end, it was so close. And we didn't unfortunately get a chance to talk to you last week for obvious unfortunate reasons, but. You know, what is it like from your perspective? You come so close, you have that heartbreaking way to end it. You have that week before the race, and you got to come back with a new mindset. So what was the mindset aspect of that like? And then as you're coming to the final lap, to the checkered flag, you could have been in that same opportunity. You were exactly where Ricky was last week. Was there any part of you that thought about doing something similar there?
Yeah, just about all of me decided or was thinking about doing something similar there. And I probably would have done it had I been in just a little different position. What I was thinking, if I had gotten the back of him, he wouldn't have slid up the racetrack. I don't think, for where we were coming off of turn 4, he would have slid down to the apron and possibly came back up into me. So I held off for just that split second. I just thought better of it. So, but yeah, last week was quite a bummer. But I don't blame Ricky at all for it. I mean, if I was in that position, I'd have done the same thing, and I'm sure anyone else would agree. So, just I can't believe we got 2 races left in the regular season. I still ain't got to win. It's crazy. I've been the close, finished second. Me and Nickerson are 400ths away at the line this race. I'm so close, but just can't pull it off yet.
Hey, we even talked about earlier today. Nick actually in his interview just now was talking about how he's as worried as he's ever been because. Like last season, it was somewhat similar. Like you were good all season, but you didn't really have those like top of the line win performances until you rattled them off there in the championship. So you've proven your clutch in the past. So you're somebody that I think once we get in the playoffs, you'll get in your groove and you'll getting back into the kind of the run of old. But overall as well, I just want to like personally give you an absolute recommendation to anybody who ever wants to drive around a series, because to have the self-restraint there on that last lap, to not return the favor there, to take the high ground and to do the respectful thing there, to drive it to the finish. Because in NASCAR, it's something to expect sometimes, stock racing in general. Sometimes you'll just have moves like that happen intentionally, but you didn't do it, you didn't go for it, and I have so much respect for you for that. So you had claps come up in your face in Skype there, and they're well-deserved. So claps to you, sir. Thank you, Cody, for taking the high ground, and I'm sure it'll be repaid sooner rather than later. But finally, I want to ask, because, again, I'm not necessarily worried about... I'm worried about this win thing because I really want you to get that win you deserve. But overall, you're just such a talented driver. You're so comfortable in the points that I think you have far higher aspirations than that. So what is the focus now? Is the focus on getting that win first, or are you all eyes looking at the playoffs, looking at that first championship?
Well, I don't think I'm going to do anything different. I'm still going to, every Wednesday sit down to win, sit down and race to win. So not really nothing different, but I tell you what, come playoffs, I won't be so forgiving on the racetrack, especially coming to the checkered flag. So just watch out for that, I guess.
It's what I like to hear. I think it's a perfect balance. I know Nick is going to focus on patience. He's not worried about the wins in the playoffs, but I know you are. And if we get to rekindle that battle to the championship last season again, this will be a great rest of the year. So I'm really hoping. But Cody, just thank you so much as always. Great to see you back here in the broadcast booth, and just what a season you've been having, man. Thank you for single-handedly carrying so many races in this series by your comeback drives. I promise you, we're documenting all of it. So plenty of clips to go back and use for the end of the season. But as you always do in the broadcast booth, you know how this works. If you got shout-outs for any sponsors, again, friends and family out the wazoo, so you got some people to mention there. But anything you want to talk about, now's your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I could make these broadcasts at least interesting for everybody, even though it doesn't necessarily work out for me, or hasn't worked out for me, since the start of the season. But definitely want to thank everybody who watches every week, who tunes in and roots me on. I got a lot of family, a lot of friends, and just thankful for that. My girlfriend for putting up with me, practicing every night and doing these, sitting down on Wednesday and doing these races. So obviously I really enjoy it. I look forward to it every Wednesday, and hopefully we just have some better luck going forward.
Yeah, I wish you the exact same. And in regards to all the practice time you spend, as I always say, if you justify it by getting podiums and wins, I think usually loved ones won't care how much you practice. So you're justifying all that time you're putting in, and back on the podium tonight. Congratulations, Cody. Thank you again. We'll see you next week at Phoenix. Nick's home track. Maybe he can get some revenge there. And I know guys like or people like Ashley Molyneux are going to be just as prevalent as ever. So best of luck next week, but I have faith in you, and we'll see you next Wednesday, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
There you go. Second interview of the night with second place finisher, runner-up, Mr. Cody Welch. And I think we're going to get rid of that runner-up title very, very soon. The guy is just such a force in this series in general. And I love that he has such a good showing, because tonight, both in the broadcast booth, he's so well-spoken, such a great guy. And the fact that he, on that last lap, had the restraint there to not do the obvious thing and just dump Nick it truly speaks to who he is as a person. It's a person I have so much respect for. So come on, Cody, get up there in the first position, and it'll be such a great moment when you do. But now, for the final interview of the race, somebody that I think actually has started to go under the radar at this point in the season, and that's such a sucky thing, because the guy has been so good. He's been so dialed in. He's kind of under the radar because he has yet to score a win. But what a season it's been for Kevin Foster. He's still second in points, and tonight he finishes third at Las Vegas. We'll pull him in the broadcast booth momentarily. Hey, Kevin, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
10-4, guys.
Welcome, Kevin. Again, another podium. You're just rattling them off this season, and well, first of all, I just got to ask, coming to the finish there, knowing what you've known about these last couple weeks, we've had just such an insane group of finishes in the last 5 weeks in this series. So was your approach this week any different than it has been all season, just knowing that, a caution was likely? You saw Cody moving up there towards Nick. What was your mindset and your approach to that last lap in terms of going for the win?
Well, I was hoping that hopefully Cody, once I got underneath Chris, and I was hoping maybe Cody would get up there, maybe bump Nick, maybe they would get loose, maybe they would tangle a little bit, and open the door for an opportunity to step off the bottom of the podium and get up to the top rung. But definitely cautions. The cautions for me personally fell at the correct time. I got involved when Weaver hit the wall, came down and hit me in the right side. The cautions played back into my favor, and they were able to get me back up towards the front. And passing here at Las Vegas, it's difficult at times. You got to get the right run, and hopefully the guy doesn't pitch you off going in the corner, and then you'll be able to make the pass. But passings definitely was a premium here. Track position was key, but it's overall, the night ended up pretty good for us.
Yeah, for sure. Both yourself, Nick, GFR Racing was well represented on the podium there, and I know Christopher's involved with you guys. He was sitting there right behind in fourth, but back-to-back weeks in the intermediates, and you seem to be very quick overall in both of them, as far as I could tell. So, going forward into the playoffs, we've seen you have a lot of pace overall at pretty much every track. I think that's why you've been so good in the points this year, is because you're just you know the truck so well. It's very clear, and you're able to go anywhere and adapt quite well. But once we get to the end of the season, is there any tracks left in the regular season, Phoenix and Auto Club, or any tracks in the playoffs you think are that opportunity for you to jump over that rung to beat the Nickersons, the Welches, the Hamiltons of the world, and get your first win of the season?
Yes, definitely looking forward to Phoenix. Phoenix is more of a driver's track, less aero dependent, and it's save some tire, and then also be there in the long runs. Definitely going to pay off towards my driving style, and hopefully still a victory there at Phoenix. That's my next biggest, my next best track coming up is Phoenix. So definitely looking forward to that track. Intermediates, the mile and a halves, it's pretty much anyone's game. As long as you get out front, got good pace, then you can stay up there as long as you keep your nose clean.
So I want to ask you, Kevin, because I've asked, I think, 2 race winners this season about their opinions, and I think it's always interesting to talk to one of the most experienced, the most talented guys in the series, and hear their opinions on who are some guys they're thinking about, who are some guys they think about each race week in and week out. They know are really great drivers. So I want to go to you, Kevin, because you're somebody I think is without a doubt you've already gonna make the playoffs. Your points are comfortable. You could miss the last 2 races and you're in. I think you're a pretty good shoe in there for a 4-race segment there in the first round. I love your chances. But late in the playoffs, are there any particular drivers you race it against week in and week out that stand out in your mind as guys you're worried about in regards to racing in the championship 4?
Nick, Cody, Ricky, and then also Ramos. Those 4 guys, and you can even throw Yancey up there. That group of guys right there are going to be the class of the field. If everything goes right and everyone has a decent race, me included, those 6 drivers are going to be going for 4 spots there for the last race of the season. That's who I think that'd be out of those 6 people, 4 of them will be into the last race.
Perfect. I think those are very fair picks, and I think all of you guys have that mutual respect for each other that I think is going to make that final round very interesting if indeed you guys are the 4 guys in it. But interesting, Michael Ramos, I asked a very similar question to Nick about who he thinks is the most underrated, most under talked about guy in the series, and he gave the name of the number 27 as well. So there you go. Michael Ramos is having a good night for himself, and he's somebody I'd watch out for as well. But Kevin, I feel bad because I feel like we don't talk about you nearly enough for somebody of your caliber. But tonight you showed up, you were in the forefront all race, and you're somebody who I think is just as good of a shot at the championship as anybody. So you know how we do it in the broadcast. You've been here in the top 3 constantly this season. So you know the deal. If you want to give a shout out to any friends and family at home, any sponsors you want to talk about or anything like that, now's your time.
Yes. First off, thanks all the guys at GFR Racing, Nick. Thanks to Frank for sponsoring the truck. Couldn't do it without you. The support you've shown us and what you've done for us this season's been awesome. Thank you to Jay for Swinner de Otso for stepping on the truck. A couple of associate sponsors. You guys know who you are. Friends and family watching at home. Full Send Racing for giving the friends and family that opportunity to watch us do what we love to do. And if I had a dark horse pick in the championship for, it would definitely be Mr. Action Jackson. So he's definitely he can run up here and run with the best of us. So if he puts a few good races together, so he's definitely gonna be my dark horse pick to make it in the top 4.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'm loving this question. It's interesting to see who the top guys are keeping in the back of their minds. And I'd imagine Brandon, seeing what he's done, 2 wins in the season, he'd probably take offense to being called a dark horse. But I feel like he's gonna give you guys a run for your money. And I know he's had some. I feel like he's a guy that either has great runs, top 3, top 5, gets a win, or he has nights that go terribly. But you never have that, Kevin. You're always somebody in the top 10. You're always somebody in the forefront, and I feel like that's what it's going to take to get you a championship. So I wish you the best of luck as always, sir. And we'll see you next week. I know you're feeling good about Phoenix, and so is your teammate.
Yes.
So we'll see if GFR Racing has another strong showing next week in the desert.
We started 1-2 tonight, so let's continue this momentum. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you as always.
Bye.
And there you go, your final interview of the night with 3rd place finisher and final on the podium, Mr. Kevin Foster. What a night of racing. As always in these single driver broadcasts, I'm a little more. My voice is kind of dead. It's been such a great night of racing. It was so awesome to have Eddie sub in there and kind of an additional co-commentator for a bit there. I gotta say, Mr. Haggy, if you ever have any interest in hopping out of the truck, you don't have the time to practice, and you want to take another interest, we'd always be happy to have you as a pit reporter. And any week where Evan's not here, you're more than welcome to come in and co-commentate. That was awesome. I hope everybody at home enjoyed his perspective, and just a really great, well-spoken guy. So shout out to Eddie Haggy first of all, and now's the opportunity to do something I surprisingly haven't done to this point, just because we had all the interviews to go through. But your final results. Here are your final results tonight for tonight's event at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the Eastwood Detailing Breast Cancer Awareness 100 at Las Vegas. There is your order. So, finishing in first, as he's done many a time, 4th of the season, Nick Nickerson is your race winner at Las Vegas. Then it's Cody Welch, Kevin Foster rounding off the top 3. Then it's Christopher Hamilton and Cale Zook rounding off the top 5. Michael Ramos in 6th. He got mentions from multiple top 3 drivers tonight, so Michael is going to have to go away and do some work for next week to try to justify that. Maybe put himself in the podium spots. Then after that, we got Curtis Yancey, Hunter Henry in 8th, Ricky Hart in 9th, Mark Allen Bivens in 10th. After the top 10, we got Christopher Ferrara in 11th, Joshua McQuiggan making his debut tonight, and what a debut it was. Made a great comeback, just like Cody Welch did after an early wreck, and a fellow Canadian like myself. So, Canada to Mr. Joshua McQuiggan. Then we got Matt Crockett finishing in 13th, Peter Murphy tonight in 14th, Brandon Gears making his debut as well, came back for 15th, Jason Romy, another Canadian, in 16th. Then we got Anthony Caetano in 17th, Connor Zook, man, that Zook connection. I really wanted to trademark that. I was hoping we might see them at least in the top 5 as a group and see if that tandem could continue its success. But unfortunately, got split up there around the middle, and Connor Zick will still come home for 18th, which in the grand scheme of points is not a bad day overall. Then we got Alan Castle after that, finishing in 19th. Garrett Hall making his return tonight in 20th, was in the top 10, came very close to an even better night for himself, but it's great to have him back. So welcome back, Garrett Hall, finishing in the end of the top 20. Then we got Tony Hilbrands in 21st, another guy who had a great night, but yet another unlucky wreck he was caught in. He's another guy that I'm just waiting for to find his way to the top of the podium sooner rather than later. We got Nolan Gross in 22nd, making his debut tonight, the third Zuck, Andrew in 23rd, Terry Condis in 24th, Bill Harkins 25th, Benny Hogan 26th, David Lakey 27th, Brandon Jackson 28th, Jason Greenwell 29th, and Trey Ellis will round off the top 30. Then we got Brett Guzik, and I don't know what happened to Brett, but finishing all the way down there in 31st. That is completely out of character for the race winner this season, top 5 in points. Steve Orrick, though, qualified on the second row. I'm so sad to see the 25 wasn't able to kind of convert on that and go for something a little bit better, but I know he had some troubles throughout the race in terms of getting involved in wrecks. So unfortunate for Steve Orrick, but you proved something tonight, man. You proved you had the pace, and I can't wait for the 25 truck to be back up here soon. John Graham in the 96 finishes in 33rd. Gary Wright in new paint scheme tonight comes home in 34th. Victor Weaver in 35th after getting caught in an incident with the lead lap trucks. Jonathan Platt in 36th, yet again getting taken out there at an intermediate track. It seems all too familiar, unfortunately. And Joel Wiggins making his debut tonight in the 68 will round off the field. Well, it was a long broadcast tonight, and I feel bad for making you guys stick around as long as we have. So, again, I want to talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Again, thank you so much for Eastwood Detailing for letting us. I believe it was their idea in the first place to do kind of a double for both. So, great cause. Again, go check it out in the link if you want to learn more. The link in the description. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so for all of October, I'm sure you'll see some of these new pink paint schemes sticking around rather than just for tonight. So get used to that in the next couple weeks, but I really liked it. All the tribute paint schemes tonight looked great. I also want to mention Evan Wall Media. Actually, I'm going to take a moment. We'll use the side-by-side, myself and Evan graphic, because unfortunately he wasn't able to make it tonight to commentate, but he did as he always does for this week. Such great work in terms of making the graphics. So there's me. I'm not lit very well because I didn't think I'd be on camera, but yeah, so shout out to Evan. Evan Wall Media, you see it in that corner over there, down at the bottom. evanwallmedia.com. The link is in the description as well. If you're an iRacing driver who's in this series, not in the series, you want a paint scheme, go to him. He's always doing all sorts of graphic design stuff. You can see his portfolio there. He does some other stuff as well. So go check him out. Want to shout him out because I know he makes a ton of these great paint schemes for some of these specialty events, including Christopher Ferraris, and Matt Crockett had a great paint scheme for last week's race. So it was both Bill Harkins and I were talking about it last week. One of the best paint schemes we've ever seen. So Evan does great work. So I want to give a shout out to him, and hopefully he'll be back next week at Phoenix. But other than that, Eastwood Detailing, thank you again for sponsoring tonight. It's always a pleasure to have them back on board, and I'm sure we'll see them again in the near future sometime, and it'll be our pleasure again to give them some recognition. So the Breast Cancer Awareness 100 presented by Eastwood Detailing tonight comes to a close, and well, now it's time to look to the future, and let's get you your season schedule for the next couple weeks so you know what it'll be looking like. And it's Phoenix next week and Auto Club the week after that. I do want to also mention, so Auto Club is the finale of the regular season, but it's also Fan Appreciation Night. So we want to appreciate you fans because you guys come out every week. It's been a long regular season, I know, and you guys have stuck with us every week through some rough races, but also some great finishes, and you've been great along the way. So thank you to everybody who watches. I know tonight the interviews went a little bit long, but to everybody who sticks through the race, and even more so through the interviews, thank you for everything you do. So we're going to be appreciating you in 2 weeks and giving you your fair share and doing some stuff for you guys. So if you guys have any ideas for what you would like for a Fan Appreciation Night, let us know. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I think we got to do trivia. We got to bring it back for the season finale. So trivia will be back in a general context. We'll make some fun prizes. Maybe send some merch out, some bandit stuff to some winners of that. It's a Fan Appreciation Night in 2 weeks. Can't wait for it, and hopefully you guys can either. And well, there you go. Other than that, that's the end of the regular season. You can see there your playoff tracks. We'll get more into the playoffs in a couple weeks, but next week we're going to try to have a better graphic to keep track of the playoff order, because that's going to be very crucial for the rest of the season, because the playoff cutoff is very close at this point. So let's see who can make it into that currently 20 truck grid for the championship. And there you go. That's about it. It's been a long broadcast tonight. For both myself, as usual, Evan Wall, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it tonight, but Eddie Haggy, who subbed in and was so great. thank you as always for watching, everybody. Go check out our merch. It's always in the description there for Bandit Racing League. We got some great stuff there. Bill Harkin's always working on it, so go check it out. And without further ado, that'll wrap it up. So for tonight's event and the Eastwood Detailing Breast Cancer Awareness 100 at Las Vegas, congrats to Nick Nickerson, your winner, and we will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.